Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host Antony Chesson, and joining me as always is the other spark on the pod. It's Mr. Darren Witham. Hello Darren, how you doing?
Hi Anthony, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad mate, not too bad. Have you recovered from EGX?
Yeah, just about. I felt a bit under the weather yesterday, to be honest. I don't know whether that was because, unlike yourself, I wasn't so careful at sanitising my hands after touching the grubby pads.
See, and you were laughing at me, weren't you? You were laughing at me for doing that, for sanitising after every demo. Yeah. I did look a bit weird, with my big kind of... Yeah, my big tub of hand sanitizer, but it works. I guess it works.
It was the way you had it on your back, like a proton pack. That was the thing that was weird. A little tub would have been okay.
Spraying down anyone who looked a bit dirty and was walking towards me.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked by that reception that I received.
You smell a BO? Slimed them. So I guess EGX. We should talk about EGX because we went to the Eurogamer show up in Birmingham in the UK. We went there on Sunday, didn't we?
We did, and had much fun was had at EGX. It was really good, wasn't it? It was good to see you. We hadn't seen each other in a long time, so that was really good.
Absolutely. We actually haven't seen each other since we started doing the podcast, some kind of 20 episodes ago. We haven't seen each other in 3D, so it was quite nice to just kind of catch up and, like you say, and just kind of get and play some games. So I mean, I think, I don't know about you, but I think my standout game was definitely the first game that we played, even though it was kind of the first and last, and I'm kind of teasing everyone here, but it was kind of almost the first and last were my two favourite games of the show. So we kind of started on a high and finished on a high, and the first one that we started playing, that was like Star Wars Battlefront, and then we had to go together, so we had a bit of a split screen, which was, I think we had to wait about an hour, didn't we, to kind of get some hands on?
Yeah, it was an hour, maybe a little bit more. There was a bit of queuing, but yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I mean, that's one game I'd say was worth the wait. It was good. I was a little bit dubious about it being split screen. I was like, I want the screen estate to myself. I want to play single player, so I got all the TV, but it worked well, didn't it? And the controls were really nice, and it really popped at you, didn't it? That was definitely a game that I thought, wow, that's got the wow factor. It looked as good as I expected and hoped for, and we were both playing pretty well, weren't we? Within a few minutes, we picked it up, and we were blasting away at the stormtroopers and what have you pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same demo as that I got to play at Gamescom, so I might have had a bit of a heads up on you.
You already practiced.
But no, it was really good. It just feels great, and that was kind of the, if you want to call it the Horde mode level. So that is your two-player co-op, so that's kind of what we can expect in a game, either split screen or online co-op, where you have two people going through wave upon wave of rebels or the Empire. So it was just really good. I enjoyed it when I came away from Gamescom, and I enjoyed it when I came away from Eurogamer as well. And I just, we're not long now. It's October now, so we're kind of, it's coming out in November, so we haven't got long to wait.
No, not long to wait at all. I need to get a move on with Metal Gear. That's the next big title, isn't it? I'm forgetting my release dates because we've got Halo 5 as well.
Next one's Halo 5.
And Tomb Raider 2.
Halo 5 in 27 days, not that I'm counting. 27 days.
Too many games. It's too many games when I'm only 30% through MGS5 anyway. But I've got plenty of time. Yeah, I forgot my release dates, but basically, yeah, there's Halo 5, and then there's Tomb Raider and Battlefront all sort of pretty close together. It's like, whoa.
No, absolutely. So we had a bit of a go Star Wars Battlefront. I think we then had a pint after that, didn't we? Because it was a decent time of the day. So we had a pint, and then we went and I think if I've got my games in right order, we went and then played Homefront.
Yeah. We went straight up and played it, didn't we? I don't think so. We queued for Homefront. And yeah, what did you think of that?
See, I like the story of Homefront. I was getting used to the mechanics. My game actually kind of reset halfway through, so I had to do the first bit twice. But I was enjoying the mechanics of it. It needs more polish. The game needs more polish. It needs to look better, graphically. It's not quite, when you play something like Battlefront and the other games that you're seeing, because we had a bit of a wander around as well and had a look over shoulders of people playing Call of Duty, people playing other games. What was the other one? Just Cause 3.
Yeah.
You know, those games are looking stellar. They're looking next gen. And Homefront, even though, like I say, it has the story, it has, you know, great sound effects and things like that. But for me, it's just not popping. I think when I came away, I might have kind of been a little bit kind of dismissive of it and was like, well, it looks like a 360 game. But, you know, I think that's not far off. You know, it definitely could do with maybe when it's coming out, I think kind of early next year, you know, maybe that should just give a little bit more time and a little bit more polish to that game.
Yeah. It was all right, you know, and for a 360 game, it would have looked pretty good. I agree with you, you know, and it's just as if I admire the ambition on trying to have a different take. I think they're trying to have a little bit of a different take on an FPS there. With the sort of open world, choose your mission, you know, you sort of explore the map, you're free to go and sort of explore what you want to do. That was the impression the demo gave me anyway. You can sort of consult your phone. By one of the buttons brings up a little phone, and then you can go into the map and pick a waypoint, and there's objectives around the map to do. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it just felt... I liked that idea. I liked the idea that there was a motorbike that you could get on and you could sort of scream about the place, so there's probably other vehicles that you can go around on. Once I got used to the controls of the bike, it was a bit slippy-slidey. But, you know, that's okay. I was just getting used to it. And that was quite good. But I found that the map was very cluttered and it wasn't really conducive to enjoying riding around on the bike. I mean, it was okay, and it was a nice change, and it was an unexpected feature. But all in all, I just found I thought it was going to be like really good, this game, and there was a massive queue. So I think expectation from other people was the same, but ultimately coming away from it, yeah, I was sort of a bit disillusioned with it. I thought it was the graphics were a bit washed out. Sort of a bit tired. It's bad to say it because you know a lot of work's gone into these games. The controls were good, but you know it's nothing that we haven't done 1,000 times before. Yeah. So it was all right. It was all right. It was a shame, you know, because it's a shame. It's a shame that they're never going to tell you like this game's not worth queuing for. Do you know what I mean? So there's not a user sort of queuometer like some kind of Metacritic, QA-critic thing at each stand, and it's like, well, that's only getting a 7. I reckon it'd be a good 7 out of 10 game. So for me, a 7 out of 10 game isn't worth full price. A 7 out of 10 game can be good, but for like 25 quid, it's 25 quid game. It's a 25 quid game for me. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, for me, I think the one thing that it was a little disappointing was that I never got to have a play of The Division, because I do think that just because of the setting, just because of the aesthetics of both of those games, I think they are they're very close. You know, comparisons will, exactly. You know, comparisons will go between those two, and it was a shame that The Division had about a 3-hour queue to kind of get a go on that, because that would have been interesting to kind of come off of Homefront and then kind of jump into The Division to kind of see which one, you know, should win your time. I mean, based on kind of my expectation and my excitement for those two titles, I think The Division will get my time and money more so, unless, you know, something happens with Homefront and it starts getting some stellar reviews. But, you know, it was good. It was good to kind of... And that's why I like things like EGX and Gamescom, because you do get hands-on. And now, with demos kind of being less and less, okay, we're getting betas, but we're not really getting that demo. Well, saying that, I mean, there are demos still available, but, you know, to get hands-on, I think it was quite nice, because that just kind of put that one a bit lower in my priority list, which was quite nice. And then, so after that, we had a bit of a trundle around the Microsoft stand, didn't we? And we had a bit of a queue, and it was quite interesting how they had a ID and Xbox area. They had Halo, which again was another 3-hour wait. But they had the ID and Xbox area, and you could roam about that, and you could go to any of those titles without any problems. But there was one title that you had to queue for, which obviously everybody wanted a bit of, and that was Cuphead. Yeah,
everyone wanted a slice of Cuphead. It was funny, wasn't it? There was a guy sort of attending. One of the staff for Microsoft, and he was like, "Yeah, well, what do you want to play?" And we were like, "Cuphead, obviously." And he's like, "Okay, well, the shout is, You could play anything you want to play. It's probably about 30 games, wasn't there? He was like, you could play on anything. There's no queue. You can just walk on. But Cuphead, the queue's there.
Yes. So it just, I mean, I must admit, same as Gamescom, I was impressed at us gamers, because I found it, there was probably about 4 people in front of us, and everyone, they kind of died a couple of times, moved on. Even though you're queuing for about 20 minutes or so for Cuphead, everyone was quite respectful that there were people behind you that also wanted to jump up and have a play of that title as well. So I thought, well done, guys. That was really, I thought that was a nice way that we were all just kind of respecting each other on that.
Yeah, that was the etiquette, and everybody sort of bowed their heads to that. And I was a bit begrudging walking off, but you just got to do it, haven't you? It's a good game, isn't it? I haven't played it before. I really liked it. I like 2D sideways shooters anyway, which is what it seems to be. There wasn't much platforming in it. It just, the bit we played, it was kind of you just picked a level from a map, from a hub area, and it was a boss on the first gate that we went in, and then it was another boss. When we defeated that boss, we went into another one, and that was another boss. So I don't know whether it's like the Steamboat Willie version of Shadow of the Colossus or what, but I still really liked it, and it's hard, and I like that. I like that it's hard. It's really hard, actually. I mean, I suppose we didn't get that long to hone our skills, but it strikes me that it's going to be a tough challenge to complete that when it comes out.
Absolutely. I mean, the 2 times that I've played that game, both of it, I mean, I think it's been the same demo, but you are just like, I'm not sure if the actual game is just almost like end-of-level bosses after end-of-level bosses, but it looks stunning, and even though, as you say, it is hard, that's no reason to kind of shy away from it. But it does. It just plays really well, and it just feels very good, and the controls are great. It's very tight, and there's no kind of, you're not dying because the controls aren't there. You're dying because your skills aren't there. But it's
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, me too. It kind of has that kind of instant, like, I want to try again. I mean, I know that when we were playing, I got killed, and I was just sitting there watching you play because we were playing 2-player, and I couldn't wait to jump back in. So I was,
and we're not used to that, are we? It cut you out. And it was like, right, it's up to the other person. You just used to be, even at worst, it's usually wait, I don't know, 30 seconds, and you'll be respawned. So it's quite a surprise. It was like, nope, you're on your own. I mean, I don't know what the finished product will be like, but it was a surprise that it was 2-player as well. I thought I'd be playing, we'd be taking it in turns, but it was nice to be able to play head on with each other, wasn't it? And cooperatively. It reminded me a bit like, I don't know, say Parodius or something like that, in a way, from the old arcade. So the gameplay style of that, but without the weapon pickups, just like a side-on shooter.
Yes.
But with that beautiful sort of retro cartoon look. I really, really like it. It's sort of inspired. And we had a little chat, didn't we, about that it's been sort of being about to be released for a heck of a long time. And I think it was your good self that said, and you hypothesised that it's probably that it's ready to go, but just because it's such a busy time with some amazing games coming out now and in the last few months and in the all the way up to Christmas, that really it wouldn't be the wisest time to drop Cuphead on the gaming audience, because there's quiet times ahead, and maybe for once, because that doesn't really happen. It doesn't often happen that some sense is applied to a release, but that seemed a really good argument for why it's being held back.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you look at if Microsoft were Sony, they would be releasing that at any point, because they don't really have an exclusive this holiday, this Christmas. But with Microsoft, they have the busiest lineup that they've had in years. They're calling it their greatest lineup. So to release a game like Cuphead, which is obviously, they've been hyping it for a good 18 months now, because I remember seeing it not this E3 but the previous E3. It was there in a montage, and they've been hyping it since then. Everybody jumped on it, and I think they were almost a bit taken back by the popularity of Cuphead. And now it's just, obviously, the game could be ready, but just where do you put it? If you released it now, if you released it around Christmas, it's just going to get lost. So you need to release it sometime, I guess, January, February, but then March and April, they're becoming packed months as well. So it's a hard one trying to figure out where you need to put it. I mean, for me, I would it's a day one purchase, but if I got it now, I'm still playing Forza, I'm still playing Destiny, I'm still playing Metal Gear Solid. So, when do I actually have time for Cuphead? It's one of those ones where it's like, yay, Cuphead's out, play it, but then you're like, oh, I need to go back and I need to play Destiny and stuff like that. So, they're obviously being sensible with it, with an IP or with a title that could make them a lot of money. So it'd be interesting to see, if they, when and if they, or well, not obviously if, but when they do release it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they choose, and we'll probably find that theory is completely shattered as it gets released on the same day as Star Wars Battlefront or something like that. But we'll see what happens with
October 27th, the same day as Halo 5. They're like, oh, I have Cuphead as well. I mean, a game like Cuphead is obviously going to make them a lot of money because there are so many. Everybody you talk to, you talk about Cuphead, and they are just like, that looks so good. It looks fantastic.
It's like Unravel, isn't it? In a way.
It really is, and you can't see that being I wouldn't see that as a Games of Gold title. I think
no.
I mean, unless they're waiting to kind of see what Sony do every month with their PS Plus titles, and if they have a really good month, maybe they're like, right now, let's give Cuphead for free. So maybe they'll do that. But I just don't think that game doesn't look like it's going to be a free game off the bat. Maybe a free game in a year's time.
Yeah, no, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, they'd have to go through Rise and for the last Forza and things, the launch titles on the Xbox before. Well, I suppose you could argue that they're sort of full price games, because Cuphead's going to be a cheapie. It's not going to be full price. So, yeah, it'll be interesting what happens with it. But regardless of all that conjecture and speculation about its release, it's a very good game. It's a very good game. I really like it. I really like it. I love the way that it's just... I love that, even the way the colours are washed out, it's just so well done. It's just
and
so well done.
the crackle on the screen as well. You get that crackle like it's a really old video, a really old movie that you're watching.
Yeah.
But you got these kind of stuff. It's fantastic. Whoever came up with that is just a genius. And then, so after we played Cuphead and we were chatting about that, we actually got some FaceTime with Oculus. So we did kind of, when we got to the show, it was heartbreaking to see, Darren, there was you kind of like jumping around. We went to all of I think we went to Vive and we went to Scan to try and get a little bit of that HTC Vibe goodness. But unfortunately, not even your smooth talking self could get in there. But we did actually find I think it was in the indie area, wasn't it? We found an Oculus Rift.
That's right, we did. Can you remember the title of that game?
Can't remember the title of the game. I cannot. Do you know what? I was just looking at my photos. I took some photos while I was there. I must admit, just while I am kind of scanning through the photos that I took, one of the ID at Xbox games that had both of us going, ooh, that looks lovely, was a game called The Flame in the Flood.
Oh yeah, that was around the Cuphead area, wasn't it?
Yeah, that looked very cool. Now I do have some pictures of you looking a little bit silly with your Oculus Rift, but I can't see the title. It's so something like kind of Beyond or something like that.
Yeah, it's called Beyond something. It's probably best off that we can't remember the name because it wasn't very good, the game. I don't know, you can disagree if you like, but
I'm not going to.
It wasn't good. I was going to say, it's not looking silly in VR, man. It's looking cool.
No, absolutely. I'm just looking at the photos. I retract that. You're looking cutting edge and
looking amazing, looking like the future on legs.
The funniest thing was the thing that made me chuckle. You probably got it when I put it on briefly as well. But it was like when you were kind of just grabbing for the controller. You can because you can't see it obviously. Yeah. So it was you just kind of like mooring into the nothing.
My raised hands raised up, like sort of begging, please, I need a control.
Just give me a controller. I mean, the one thing I will say, with the game, when you put that Oculus Rift on, you were just immersed, weren't you, in that game? It did just like suddenly wherever you were looking around on a game, and I think that's just going to be the fun with VR, this immersion that you get from playing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say it's sort of a two-sided coin about the VR at EGX, and I think pretty much every big event where they've got VR, it's like, I think that the way they've done it and the way they did it, to get a go on either HTC Vive or on PlayStation VR, there was Morpheus. There wasn't an Oculus area. There was just some Oculuses like around. But the main two, to get a look at were PlayStation VR and HTC Vive. And the difference of them two is that PlayStation VR is obviously on PlayStation. That is something where you sit down and you get immersed into the virtual reality, pretty much like Oculus. HTC Vive has one differential factor that we know of at the moment. Maybe it's got more, I don't know. But what we know about is that uses two sensors that go in opposite corners of a room that give you the opportunity to explore the room, or should I say explore the VR environment that you're in, within the space of, I think it's about 15 foot by 15 foot, which really brings it to sort of holodeck territory. And I'm very excited about that. So just after that brief explanation, I'm sure I've gone on about that before. The way to get a slot was that you had to sign up and apply for a slot previous to going to EGX. And then you found out if you were successful or not. And if you were successful, you got given a time. And if you weren't, you got told, unfortunately, we regret to say that on this occasion you were unsuccessful. And that's kind of fair enough. It's great if you get a slot. But it means that many people don't get a go. But the thing is, what they're doing with these experiences is that they're it's not an experience that you can just get in for like 2 minutes and then get off. You need to have, like, I feel that their pitch is that you need to be fully immersed, and that takes a bit of time. So, for instance, the longest slots with HTC Vive were 20 minutes. So they had a finite amount of 20-minute slots throughout the 3-day of EGX. I imagine it was similar with PlayStation VR. And then Vive, for instance, also had some 10-minute slots as well, I think it was. And so they only had, say, 300 slots for the 3 days. And it would have been similar for VR. So you can imagine, say, 5,000 people going, and only a very small proportion of people could get a slot. Now, that's sad when you haven't got a slot. Like I was sort of beyond gutted because, like, VR is just sort of, I'm just so hyped about it. I really wanted to have a go on it. I would have traded it anything for a go on Vive. And I asked, I wanted to beg, but I knew it wouldn't make any difference. So
well, at one point, I thought you was going to offer me. You were like, you can have him. You can just, he'll do whatever you want. He'll dance. Watch him.
Take him, yeah. We'll both dance. He'll do anything. But they couldn't. It's basically like, the slots are taken, and that's it. And so it's bad, but in a way, it's professionally done, because if you've got a slot, you know what time you're going, then there's no queuing for 3 hours. So, at least I was over it before I was there. I wasn't going to EGX with my fingers crossed that I might have a go. Because I remember I was saying that I basically was seeing myself getting in there and queuing till closing time, and maybe I wouldn't have even had a go. So at least this way, you avoid that, and we had time to go into some other queues. So anyway, back to the point. So I went on this game, and I had a chat with the developer because I was like, Oculus. And he was a pretty friendly guy. And this game was a third-person game, and the main character looked a bit like a character from Rise of the Robots, wasn't it, that you said, Antony?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And that was a really good description. So you got this view of the back of this sort of blue, shiny character. Looked a bit ray-traced in a way. And then you had this sort of like glowing blue spine down the back. And it was basically running around. I think it was based in Manchester, from what I remember the guy saying, and he was shooting stuff. And so it's a third-person game, okay, and I saw the Oculus. And so I was chatting, and I was like, it's interesting that you're using Oculus for a third-person game, because from what I've read, it doesn't work that well. Actually, no, I don't think I said that. I think I might have kept that to myself because I was being tactful. But what I did say, I said, did you make this game for Oculus or not? And he said, we didn't start the development for Oculus, but we were bearing Oculus in mind while we were developing it. So it's been it's been not easy, but it's been a natural fit into Oculus. And why don't you have a go? So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll have a go. So I had a go anyway. And yeah, it's really good. You put the VR HMD on, head-mounted device on, and then you're there in the 3D environment. And I was running around, and I found it very strange that the right stick didn't control the camera. And then I realised after a few minutes that you actually, a little bit like with Splatoon, how you used the Wii Mote or the Wii Pad to do the aiming with the pad, which is quite an individual experience to that. You actually aimed the reticle with your head, which I'm just moving my head around now to replicate that. But for me, I didn't really like it. I don't know how it would have felt if it would have allowed me to have the right stick, so I could have just looked forward and been more like a traditional experience. But it was a bit weird, but I got used to it, and it was pretty good. But the graphics of the game weren't that great, and once you put the Oculus on, it really sort of magnified the pixelization of the graphics as well. But the thing that really it made me feel, and this was really the point that I took home from my experience with this game, was that it had sort of mini cutscenes in it. So you'd be running along, shooting some aliens, bang, bang, happy enough. But then all of a sudden the camera would scuttle off to another end of the map to show you an enemy that was going to come at you. So some kind of pertinent enemy that presumably was the next one on your list. So you'd be running along all of a sudden, and then the camera would off it would go, So you'd see it sort of rotate away from what you're looking at, forcibly go off and look at the enemy to let you know that it was there and that it meant business or whatever. Now, I'd read that when that happens in VR, it's not pleasant, and I didn't really understand how it wouldn't be pleasant, but it really felt as if your head was being wrenched, even though there was no physical touching and you didn't move your head. You didn't have to move your head at all. But because your brains it has got used to the fact that you're looking around this environment, when the game takes away that control and forces you to look another way, it's very unnatural and it doesn't feel right. Did you feel that? Because you had a few minutes on it. Did you get to a point like that? Because it just felt wrong,
No, I was just kind of like dancing around the area and taking out those guys that were kind of hiding behind cars and things. So I didn't experience that cutscene, but I know what you mean. It's probably that just kind of forward motion that you think, your body's probably, or your brain's thinking, I'm good. It's really bizarre. But no, I didn't have that. I had more of the kind of looking around and just feeling how it was the weird thing I had, and it's hard to explain, but when I put the Oculus on, it felt like the whole environment in front of me just opened up more, that you could just see, and it was just because I've now just cut out Eurogamer Expo, just cut that out, and I'm now in, as you say, probably the kind of war-torn Manchester, and it was just, I just found that it was felt very open, and I'm very excited that there could be some really great titles to this. You imagine playing something like Halo or something like that with an Oculus. That would be fantastic. But I agree with you that the moving around of the head didn't work in that game. You needed, because I kept trying to do the right stick all the time. If I wanted to look left or wanted to look right, then I was doing it, because that's what as gamers, that's what your muscle memory's doing, isn't it? It wants to move that right stick to move your head. You're not used to moving your head yet. So I did find that just a little bit weird.
Yeah, and I'm all for learning and adapting to new control methods, but I'm not sure if that's one that we're supposed to learn. It felt that weird, and the way that the cutscene worked in that was just weird, and it really did make me realise that what I'd read was absolutely right about that, because it's not just one article. I've read a few that said that it doesn't really work for this kind of game, kind of, and that's why I was a bit surprised to see a third person one with it, and I was also really keen to try it. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome, and it kind of is. But there's a heck of a lot of refinements they'd have to do on that particular one. For instance, they got, your heads-up display, for instance. When you were looking at it on a monitor, it was all nice and neat at the over at the left and right top corners and the bottom corners. You had like ammo and health and what have you. Mm-hmm. But once you put Oculus on, you couldn't really see that without actually like sort of looking right into the corner, and then you can't focus on the game. So I helpfully suggested transparent overlays more in the centre after I'd finished, but I don't know how well that went down. But yeah, so it was a nice little experience. To be honest, my other Oculus experience, which is playing Tempest by Jeff Minter, which I think is now in development hell due to licensing, was better, but that was a completely different game, and I think that was probably more suited to the medium of VR, as it's a vector graphics. Well, it's Tempest, the old game. Have a look if you haven't heard of it, and that was pretty cool. And there was just some things in that made me. You didn't even, a bit like this game. You forget you're playing a game. It's more about, you're just like, wow, look at this. Like like when something new comes out and it's that good. The experience of it is that good. It doesn't actually matter what you're doing as long as you're experiencing it. So you can get away with a lot with Oculus and these new VR technologies, I think, just on the basis of that. But for instance, on the Tempest game, the best thing about it for me was because you could pause it, and once you'd paused it, you could use the controls to spin around the map or the room that you were in,
right,
and zoom in and shrink it out. And that was just awesome, man. And I was proper reaching out, to try and touch it, even though it was awesome. So yeah, I love VR. What we got to hands on with was better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be great to see some of the big boys stuff in action, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still waiting on a good first person shoot 'em up to jump into that, and because I do think I think I've said before on the podcast that I have played games, and I'm a big advocate of 3D. I do like I buy Blu-ray discs because of 3D, and we're always sitting in the movie room with 3D glasses on, and I've played games. I've played like Call of Duty, I've played Batman, I've played, I think even Gears of War there was an edition of Gears of War that was in 3D, and I always enjoyed that because it just felt like my TV was going back, as you're playing a first person shoot 'em up, it just felt like your TV was just kind of, it was like a box rather than a flat screen, and I really enjoyed that, and I would love to have that in a VR experience as well. I'd love to play the Halos or Call of Duty or anything, in a VR, with a VR headset.
Yeah, I would too. I'm not sure if maybe it will happen, but I'm not sure if that kind of game's going to work, just because of how sort of quick they are. Do you know what I mean? How reaction heavy it is. You'd be spinning your head round that quickly, and if you were doing it on the pad, I believe it could be quite disorienting, but maybe that's just because people aren't used to it yet. But I'd say an FPS like we've talked about No Man's Sky, because that's got a steadier pace.
Mm-hmm.
Or there'll be a kind of new FPS type of thing that gives us what you're talking about there, but there'll be a VR equivalent, So
yes,
it'll have something about it that probably makes it more real and a lot more tense, but it may not have that rushing around and spinning, because like in those games you've got to turn around so quickly. I'm just not sure. You'll be falling off your chair, but that might just be about adapting. So the jury's out, I suppose.
Absolutely. And then the last game that we got, which was, I know you're a big fan of, when we played Mirror's Edge, you're a big fan of Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
So that was the last game that we played, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. But, for me, I like it. I think it's great. I've never really played a game. I played the demo on the Xbox 360. So I was pretty much, just queuing, chatting with you, because I think we had a good hour and a half queue on that. But I was blown away by it. I really enjoyed it. So it was we had a 7-minute pre-demo briefing. Over to the left, they had iPads that were giving us a pre-demo briefing, and you can imagine that somewhere like E3 or Gamescom, that was a room that you all went into. And then you had that, because they kept saying, like, when you go into the next room, you'll experience the demo. So we had that VR briefing that told us what to do, told us how the controls, and then we went into the demo, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It looked amazing, looked stunning actually, and it was and it played like a dream. I mean, I remember, like I say, playing the demo of Mirror's Edge on the Xbox 360, and I always remember it kind of just playing really well. And there was just something about that jumping around in first person mode back then that made me a bit queasy. Exactly what we're talking about with VR.
Yeah, a bit of the old motion sickness.
Well, exactly. But I think because a lot of games have obviously taken from Mirror's Edge, you get jumping in Halo, and you get other things, a lot of that kind of climbing and clambering is definitely included now in games. That when I played Mirror's Edge Catalyst, I was okay with it. I was completely immersed, and I can't wait to play that game now.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I really liked it. I bought the first one and completed it. As soon as I saw the trailer, we've sort of spoken about this, I just knew that game was for me. And so I was keen to see this and get to play on it. And I thought it was really professionally done, the way that, you had that briefing on the... I remember when we first got steered over there, we're like, what? Have they blagged us? Everyone's queuing up for a bloody iPad demo or something.
Yeah. Or we're just queuing up for the Mirror's Edge, the iOS game.
Yeah. I looked over at you, I was like, what's this, mate? and you were like, what?
Put the headphones on and trust in whatever it is.
Yeah, we just trusted a higher power. And I thought it was really well executed to, explain about the game on there. And then we went off and played it. And as Antony says, it was absolutely fantastic. Really love it. I'm going to get it. And the graphics, it's so polished. It's sort of, they've just taken everything that was good about Mirror's Edge and just enhanced it. And for me, that's exactly what I wanted. And for people that didn't get as involved in the first one, well, that's, you've got this just there waiting. And you never know, they might bring out Mirror's Edge on backwards compatibility on 360 as well. I
definitely think if they do, because that game looked, that game was ahead of its time when it came out anyway, and I think just because of the world is very kind of white, it's very kind of stark, isn't it? So it looked fantastic anyway, but I think definitely if that comes out on backwards compatibility, I might just kind of purchase it from the Xbox store and play that. It may have been a Games with Gold title. I might even have it for free already, so just kind of sitting there. But one of the things that did make me laugh was when we were queuing and we were watching people play it. You and I were having that discussion where we're like, where we're looking at a scene and we're like, do you think games will ever get that good? Because that looks stunning. And then suddenly we realised we were actually watching like gameplay. It was gameplay in front of our eyes, and I'm there going, do you think it will ever get that good? Look at those puddles, it's fantastic. And it was gameplay, and it was just fantastic. Now, Mirror's Edge, is that a cross-platform title? It's on PS4, PC, and Xbox One, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an EA title. They're usually cross-plat, aren't they? Just like Battlefront. Yeah, it is. And I'm excited. I'm so excited for that. I loved it. It was a nice way to end the day at QGX. I mean EGX. Sorry.
Exactly. I mean, that's quite funny. Apart from your VR experience aside, that was just when we were wandering around, but we only really got to play 4 games, and we were there for like a good 10 hours, not 10 hours, we could have been there, chucking us out at 10 o'clock at night, but we were there for, a good chunk of time, good 7 hours, and we only got to play 4 games, and it was a little bit disheartening that there were games that you wanted to play. There was Assassin's Creed. I'd love to have a try of that just to kind of see if that should go on my Christmas list or not. There was The Division. There was a whole load of games there was that other Star Wars trailer or demo as well.
Yeah, because the one we played was the on-foot combat, and there was one flying, wasn't there, as well, flying the ships. And there was loads of games. I mean, you completed the survey, as have I, and I was looking down the list of the games. You know that bit where it said give feedback on the games that you liked?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I never saw that one. I was like, oh, I'm seeing that one. Sort of like that. But there was no time, and we didn't mess about. We had 1 pint, we went in, we played Battlefront, we had a drink, and then we had a walk round. We planned our sort of walk through. Then it was Homefront, then it was Cuphead. Then on the way, really, to Mirror's Edge, we had our little bit of VR, which is just a happy accident, and then it was Mirror's Edge, and then it was like, crikey, man,
6 o'clock.
Yeah,
time
6
to
o'clock.
go home. Yeah.
So all I can hope for and pray for regarding this is next time maybe we'll get the press passes that we failed to get this time.
Well, I mean, indeed, and for anyone who's kind of not the press or podcasters or anything, I just think they need to maximise space because there was a lot of people there on Sunday, and they did say that there was even busier on Saturday, but there was a lot of dead space around that they could have easily have put, more booths. I mean, I went to Gamescom, the Star Wars booth, that was almost tiered. There was Dark Souls 3, that was tiered. They could learn from those bigger expos. I mean, Eurogamer Expo, I've been going for probably about 4 years, and I've seen it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger each year. But it's still, 3 hour wait for a 20-minute demo. The ratio is off there a little bit.
Yeah, it's not right. I mean, you should almost be demoing handheld games to people while they're in the queue. Something like that, kind of the Disney World ethos of making the queue a bit fun. But there was none of that. And I was saying, Mirror's Edge, there was a massive queue to see Mirror's Edge. This is a title that's got a lot of anticipation and a lot of people looking forward to it. There were 8 stations available to play. So, 8 people went up and spent, I think it was 13-minute demo. So say quarter of an hour or whatever. So you got quarter of an hour to wait for 8 people, and then the next go in 8, It wasn't enough for a game that a lot the way that they've been marketing it. You can tell that they're expecting a bit of a big sale on this one. So twin that with anticipation and that you would hope for demand, then really it doesn't equate to just 8, does it? And Battlefront was probably the star of the show, and that did have more, but still, like you say, there must have been better ways to do it. I mean, it starts with getting more systems in there, just so people can look at more. It's not even, from a business point of view, I'm sure that they're very concerned about the comfort and the lack, and they would want the consumers to queue less. But actually, the meat and potatoes of this is that they want these people that are that into games that they're willing to spend their money to go to an event that's basically a massive advert. It's like, let's get them to play as much as we can, because the more games they're going to play, the more games they're going to buy. These are our primary customers. And, we only got to see four games in a day, really. And if you say that's, say, an average for people, because other people might have been distracted with the merchandise, because there's plenty of shops selling all sorts of brilliant stuff. It's kind of like I'd consider myself that I'd failed a little bit there, because I'd want everybody turning up to have a good chance to play the majority of stuff on show. I mean, I know that they're competitors, so maybe they just want you to play their stuff. Like with Xbox were saying, like, they had competitions, didn't they, to keep you in their stand and things like that, where it was like, right, fill this card out and you get it stamped for every game you play at our stand, which I thought was quite clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And Battlefront was doing that as well, wasn't it? So it was like queue for 2 hours for Battlefront here, then go over there and queue for another 2 hours, get the other stamp, and then you're in for a chance of winning. So I thought, no, absolutely, they were quite clever about that, weren't they? They knew that there was a constraint on people's time and demos, so they were being a little bit sneaky.
They were a bit. Yeah, I wonder if the prize was a mug for being an absolute mug queuing up for 5 hours for 2 stamps.
See, but like I say, I'll be back next year. It was.
Oh, me too.
It's great. I did enjoy. Like I say, I've been to Earl's Course a couple of times. Well, 3 times with the Eurogamer, and like I say, I have seen it getting bigger and bigger. Birmingham was a great venue. It didn't take long to get up. I had a gorgeous drive very early on Sunday morning, and it was fantastic. So let's look forward to next year. And I must admit, I got an email today for a save the date for Gamescom as well. So that's already in my calendar.
Wow, it never stops.
It never stops. So let's get on to kind of what we have been playing in the comforts of our own home without queuing. What have you been playing this week?
My gaming dinner plate has not changed this week. I'm still playing Metal Gear Solid 5, and I need to play some more of it. But I tell you what, it's sort of, I haven't had loads of time to play because of one thing and another. So the game that's been dominating my time a little bit more has been Resogun, which is still the same as last week. But Resogun is amazing, and I said to you that I was trying to beat the veteran mode, and I can't. It's so hard. It's doing my head in. I'm really, really trying, and I think that's why I'm playing it a little bit more, because I've hit this wall, and it so much just depends on your skill. And I'm like, I can do this. Please don't tell me I'm too old. My reactions have gone rusty or something. It's a proper test of your mettle. And so I'm trying to unlock Veteran. If you complete Veteran, you unlock Master, which in turn unlocks times 20 multiplier. So until I can unlock Master, I can't even consider trying to get a decent leaderboard score. I don't really cheat, so I haven't read any tips online of how I should be playing it to maximise score or maximise levels and stuff. So I'm just doing it, off my own sort of gut. But yeah, what a fantastic game! It was a launch game, and it's absolutely brilliant. I love how smart games. I loved Super Stardust as well on the PS3. I thought that was amazing, and this is such a great sort of evolution of that. I love pretty much all twin stick shooters, but for me it's sort of Geometry Wars. Super Stardust, that's it. I nearly forgot the name of that then. And Resogun, and I just really love them. So mainly Resogun, and MGS5's there, but I got annoyed because I was doing a mission and I had this amazing plan of how I was going to complete it. I got in a Jeep and I went, I'm going to go round here, and I was sure that the mission wanted me to chase this other vehicle, so I started chasing it, and I was all excited. I didn't hear that my PS4 speaker was going, you're going out of the area, you're going out of the mission area, until I'd gone out of the mission area, and it was like, Snake, you idiot, what have you done? You've gone out of the mission area, and it just cancelled the mission. And I'd done everything so nicely, everything was set up to a T, and I just was so excited that I wasn't paying any attention to the speaker on my PS4 pad. I was probably just listening to Rebel Yell as I drove my Jeep, thinking I was King Dingling, following this guy, thinking I was well on mission, and it wasn't what it wanted me to do. I'd misinterpreted the situation, and the mission just fizzled out, so I had to start it again, and it was just like, I got to start all that again now. And since then, I've just been doing a bit of Resogun while I sort of get over that disappointment. But yeah, that's me for gaming this week. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I mean, me again. I think it's a bit of a redux of last week, where I've been playing Forza 6, loving Forza 6. I'm still just kind of leveling up, kind of unlocking new cars, doing my thing with Forza 6, which is listening to podcasts and just enjoying that game. And I do in abundance. It looks stunning, and I just keep taking pictures and spamming people on Twitter, and because it's just fantastic. It's absolutely superb. So I've been playing that, but most of my time gaming over the last week has been playing Destiny. Nicola and I are deep into the Taken King, so much so that we there's a sad text every at lunchtime, or maybe kind of a late afternoon, going, "Are we playing Destiny tonight?" So we get home,
wow. That's
dinner.
Serious.
Exactly. It's to get home, dinner, maybe watch an episode of Parks and Rec, and then we're straight on to Destiny. And it's just, and I must admit, there are some strikes in Destiny that are hard. We had one the other night that we were playing, and it took us about 4 or 5 attempts to take out the kind of the whatever the last boss, or the boss in the middle of this strike. It took us a couple of times, and there was even some story missions that were really, really taxing, but not hard in a difficult way, but just really hard in the fact that you just got to think about it, make sure you've got the right guns, make sure you've got the right weaponry and the right substance to take these guys out. And once we did, it really felt good. Once you kind of, you try about 2 or 3 times, die quite close to the end, and then you really just kind of give it your all and switch up your guns a bit, and then off you go. And it was such good fun. And we are, we understand the leveling system, we understand that this is what gives you more power, and I can't stress enough how Taken King has just righted all of those wrongs. We've got so many single player and multiplayer missions to do. We've got so many quests that are just sitting there. That the great thing about quests is you can equip about 12 or 14 quests now, rather than the 6 that you had before. And you just kind of go off, do the strikes, do the missions, and you're just ticking them off. So it's and then you just level up or get some engrams and things like that. And we're really into it at the moment. And we've got some DIY this weekend, and we're trying to figure out kind of how much DIY we can juggle so we can have more kind of Destiny time. And it really has kind of got its claws deep into us.
Brilliant. What level are you?
I'm level 40, maximum level.
Ah, well done, sir. That's really cool.
I did tweet out that I never thought I would see that on a Destiny screen. So maximum level, my light level is about, I'm not sure about my light level, I think it's about 201 or something like that. So I'm not max level on that, but I'm getting there. But we're both level 40. And it's just fantastic. There's all new areas that we're experiencing, the Dreadnought and places, and it's just fantastic. Even, when you go down to Earth, there's places that you've never been before. One of the strikes that we did took us to the Vault of Glass, where Nicola and I haven't done the raids, so we'd never experienced the Vault of Glass before. So we got to kind of have a wander around the Vault of Glass and take out 3 really difficult waves of these big guys at the end, and that was just a 2-player kind of co-op, and we really enjoyed it. It was just great fun.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I got a little tour of it, because when I was in Birmingham, I visited my nephews, and the eldest one is banging to Destiny. He's the guy that I gave my Destiny to.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "Oh, you've got to see the Taken King. It's amazing." So I went off, and he was showing me this and that. He had a save game just before Oryx.
Right.
It was the Taken King, this big giant boss. And he was like, there's no way I can do it, but I just wanted to show it you. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And the thing is, with this story, is that he wanted the Taken King, but his dad bought in the Legendary Edition.
Right.
Which includes Destiny. So he was like, well, you can have yours back now. Because the one that has been bought includes it all.
Yes.
So I was like, well, yeah, all right, because if you've got it all, there's no point in you having 2 copies.
Yeah,
so I've got my Destiny back, and it makes me think, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to put it on again, but I've got it here, so I could just get involved. But that's why I remember at EGX, and I was like, there was something that I was going to ask you, and I was sure that you were going to be playing it on an Xbox, and it was going to disappoint me, and I couldn't remember it. And then I was like, oh yeah, what you playing Destiny on? And you were like, Xbox, of course. And I was like, damn it, because I've got it, but I've got it back. Because if we were on the same format, I reckon I'd have gone for it to join in with you and Nicola if you didn't mind.
No, absolutely, because
that would have been top.
Exactly. When we're doing strikes, we just have someone who, just a random person jumps in. No one ever talks. Talk, people. If you're joining a strike, just stick a pair of headphones on. You've got headphones out of the box, have a chat, because it makes a lot of things. You
could make friends and you could hook up
exactly.
again.
There was one bit we were playing a strike and it was a really difficult puzzle, and that's why there's some things about Destiny, the Taken King, and I think it came up in the raids as well, where you have some puzzles that you've got to do. And this one guy, we were all dying time and time again, and then he figured it out. It just clicked, and you could tell none of us had kind of worked it out previously, and then it just clicked. And I couldn't tell him, well done. I was in the headset and going, well done, that's great, oh, fantastic, So I couldn't say anything because he didn't have a headset on. So I just ended up pointing at him and doing a little dance instead,
a little teabag dance
to show my appreciation. So.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, I think I've answered my own question there as to whether I'm going to play Destiny, and the answer is no. If you guys were on PS4 or if my version would be an Xbox, I would be on it.
Yeah.
But the guys that I know, they're not playing Taken King.
But anyway, so let's get on to our news section. And then this week's news section, we talk about the latest PlayStation update. We also have more details about that exciting Battlefront beta, the Star Wars Battlefront beta. And we also discuss, debate and dissect Edge's top 100 greatest games. Well, we kind of maybe do just the top 10 rather than the top 100, so don't worry. And then the first up in the news section is with me, and as we were talking about the Star Wars Battlefront beta. Now, last week we were saying it's going to drop early October, and we now have those dates, and that date is the 8th of October, so next week, next Thursday, if you're listening to this when we post it, so next Thursday, 8th of October, Star Wars Battlefront, and it's going to be coming on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So that's coming 8th of October for 4 days. So we get it over the weekend. So we get it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 days of Star Wars Battlefront goodness. Now, EA have announced sizes as well. The beta size has been confirmed as 7 gig on both the PS4 and Xbox One, so it's not a hefty download. It shouldn't take too long. It's 11 gig on PC, but those lucky PC owners, they get to preload the beta, so it will be ready to go. So at 4 a.m. on the day before, so that's the 7th of October, they get to preload their beta. So it's a shame we can't do that on Xbox and PS4 and be ready to go. But we get to download it, so it'll kind of, I guess that's kind of, as soon as it becomes available, keep an eye on the Lost Spark Twitter feed. We'll be tweeting it, and then we'll be downloading it, and hopefully kind of jumping on. So if anybody wants to play with us on the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, just kind of jump us. We'll give out our gamer tags a bit later, so we can just all join up and have a bit of a stress test on Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, have a bit of a blast, yeah. It couldn't fall on a worse day for me, really. 8th is my wife's birthday.
Oh, no!
That's
okay, because you can download it. You can,
that's
you obviously,
right.
Kind of do the husbandly duties of making Claire happy on her. That sounds really rude. Oh Jesus, that's obviously kind of be attentive to your wife and birthday stuff. I'm trying to get out of this quickly as possible. Then download it, cheekily download it. You can use the app, I guess, on the Xbox and PS4. Download it, and then you'll be ready to go on maybe on the 9th.
Yeah, so I could play for a bit on the 9th, and then it's Play Expo on either the 10th or the 11th in Manchester, so I'll probably be away for that as well. So I'm not going to get as much time as I expected.
Holy moly.
You know, some is better than none, so that's fine.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's also worthwhile, while we're talking about Star Wars Battlefront is now available to pre-order and pre-download on Xbox One. That's the full game, not this beta. And gold members at the moment get a 10% discount as well. So, you know, it's quite interesting. Both of the platform holders are really they want you to play Star Wars Battlefront on their console. So I would expect PlayStation to come back with a deal as well at some point.
What's the digital download price? Do you know?
I don't. I think it's 50. I do actually. It's without the 10% discount. It's $54.99 for the standard edition, $65 for the deluxe edition.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, nice to get a little 10% discount as well. That's quite good. And yeah, we'll all be on it. I'm going to look for. I think I've seen it at $42.99 physical copy. So I haven't pre-ordered yet, though. I'm still waiting. I think that's the best deal I've seen, just for the standard one. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's worth getting anything above that. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I thought because it's a game that I've enjoyed kind of at both expos, and it's one that I really love, and I love Star Wars, I think I might get the deluxe edition, because if the deluxe edition includes the season pass, then I'm going to get the deluxe edition, because I know it's EA, and I know it's going to be a bit of a cash cow, and they're going to keep bringing out levels, but I plan to play a lot of this game, so different levels, different planets, different environments will keep my multiplayer fresh.
Yeah, I listened with interest then, and I was just thinking, what am I going to do? Because I don't know, because I love Star Wars so much. And like you were saying then about the levels, it's like, well, if I'm planning on buying all the levels, then maybe I'll have to get the season pass. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to have to read up on it a little bit more, I think.
Absolutely. I'll have a read up on the deluxe edition, see what that gives us. I know if you pre-order it, you get the episode 7 level a week earlier than everybody else.
That's right. Yeah, I read that too. But that doesn't sway me. I can wait a week because I'll be enjoying all the other levels. I just want to play Hoth.
Excellent. Superb.
Cool. Well, the next piece of news is with my good self, and that is a bit of news on Rainbow Six Siege. The information that we have is that the beta, which I haven't played, and I don't think you've played it either, have you, Anthony?
I fired it up. It's downloaded. I fired it up. I haven't played it, but I'm going to be playing it after we've recorded this podcast this evening because it's still going.
Oh, okay. So you're going to have a go. You know something? I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm not going to have a go. I'm not interested. Good luck on having a game of it. There's about 60% chance of actually finding a match. That's the current stat. That's the official stat. And the statistics that I've heard from other people trying to have a game is they're saying there's about 5% chance of getting matched up. So,
maybe I won't be playing it tonight then.
Well, you could give it a go maybe, but be playing. It's a shame you can't play something else at the same time. But, you could have that on one screen. Maybe you and Nicola play something on the other screen, and have that just matchmaking. Because this, I was reading about some guy, and he said he just basically left it there, matchmaking, and he came back, an hour later, and he hadn't found a game. It might have been fixed by now. This was a day ago, so it might have been fixed. And this is the purpose of the beta. But what I was reporting,
maybe that's why they're extending the beta, because they fixed that, and they want people to actually jump into matches
so that they can do the analysis that they want to do. Yeah, and that fixing that is obviously quite important. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't know if it's an indication of how the final code is going to run, but the Siege beta is going to run at 1080p. It's that old chestnut again. It's going to be 1080p on PS4 and 900p on Xbox One, both at 60 FPS. PC is going to vary between 720 and 1080 depending on your configuration. That's just sort of standard for PC, isn't it? If you've got the oomph, you can get the res. So they said about the fact, Ubisoft said about the fact that the Xbox One is 900p on the beta. that they're still looking to push the hardware as much as possible in order to deliver a quality experience for players, and we'll be able to share more about the final resolution once we're closer to our release date. So that was off the FAQ from the Rainbow Six website. So the full release is on December the 1st, so it's not that far away, always 1st of October, 2 months. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting that straight out of the box, straight onto the beta, there's quite a difference in the resolution. For me, I've said this before, I can't see the difference that much, but it's just about not having the power to deliver that. It gets a lot of people irate. And the other bit of Rainbow Six information is, you probably know this already, is that it's been confirmed that it's not going to have a single player story whatsoever.
Crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of people liked the single player in the Rainbow Six games, so it's got people's backs up, straight away with that, and they may lose some custom on that. I could almost understand it that they said, oh yeah, PS3 and Xbox 360 won't have a single player because it can't handle it. Like they're doing for Black Ops 3.
Yes, yeah, so that's just pure multiplayer, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can understand the argument, can't you? You say, oh, well, but they're doing their best to give them multiplayer, which for those games is the core of the experience these days. But it's like we can't shoehorn that in because of the systems can't handle it. But just saying blanket, no single player for a game that's got, I'm sure it's got a good fan base that love the single player. So it's an interesting decision. So yeah, and the resolution thing as well. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully they'll be able to tweak the Xbox One build to get to 1080. What with harnessing the power of DirectX 12 and what have you, and the new UI and what have you, and the power that's going to let them release. But you'd think that they've already got access to that. I don't think there's going to be a switch that's going to be thrown within the next 2 months that's going to allow them to get extra oomph out of the Xbox One. But we'll see. But there's something about Rainbow Six that I got my beta code and I just thought, what, I've got other games I'm more interested in, so I haven't bothered. But if you do get a match, I'd love to hear what you thought, because you might say, actually, I missed out. It'd be really interesting.
Absolutely, I really like the premise of it. It sounds great, and it definitely, the guys that I've played Rainbow Six previously, none of those are really interested in it at the moment. But definitely that the kind of premise of it just sounds great. That kind of making sure that you're ready to breach, and then kind of breaching in and taking it out. It sounds like it could be a lot of planning and then a crazy moment. And I do like the idea of that, and that's what I want to. That's why I want to play it. That's why I want to play the beta or play a demo, because I want to see if what I've got in my head does actually happen in the game. Like I say, I can't get the normal guys that I've played Rainbow Six together at the same time on Xbox One, but it would be interesting even if I just kind of join with some other people, headset on, trying to talk to people, just to see what happens. But the bit with no single player, we've seen this with Evolve, we've seen it with Titanfall, and it really is just, you see these games, and because they don't have that single player, and they have this almost kind of set piece time and time again, they haven't got the following that Call of Duty have, those Star Wars Battlefront. I mean, I think Star Wars Battlefront's going to do okay without a single player. It will be missed and probably come in Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I think it will do okay, where something like Rainbow Six Siege, it's a game that needs a single player, I think, and then that draws people into the multiplayer.
Yeah, the single player is like a hook. It certainly is for me, and I'm sure that Call of Duty enticed the community in on its story and its spectacle to start with, and then the multiplayer just took off on its own, didn't it?
Indeed.
And Rainbow Six hasn't got that underpinning that Call of Duty's got. And the comparison with Star Wars, it's Rainbow Six Siege, it's Rainbow Six IP, it pales into insignificance compared to Star Wars. So yeah, it's dodgy. And the hands-on play that I have read about, the reports are not good. They're not favourable, even sort of allowing for the beta. They're saying it's just not fun. But, I've only seen one or two headlines, haven't gone into a lot of depth. I'd be great if you managed to make some time and have some hands-on and let me know. I'm lazy, sorry about that. But if you just do, play it, it'd be great to hear it. But I won't judge you if you don't believe me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely is something that hopefully, if I do get some time on, I'll report back next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So what have we got next?
Up next is Games with Gold, free and PlayStation Plus. It's free games for October. There's free games for October. So those free games are, let's start on Xbox. So strap yourself in. Start on Xbox. For Games with Gold have been announced, and we have the awesome, the amazing, the thought-provoking Valiant Hearts Great War.
Fine game.
If you haven't played this, Ubisoft's indie branch doing kind of what they should be allowed to do all the time, because they've given us some fantastic titles. Valiant Heart The Great War, that's going to be available from the 1st of October to the 31st of October. Grab it. If you're not going to play it straight away because you've got all those other titles, just grab it. It's fantastic, and this is just such a great game, and I just enjoyed it. I think we've already spoken about it many times on the podcast, but Valiant Hearts, Xbox One, definitely grab that. We also have over on Xbox 360 from the 1st of October to the 15th, we've got Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, so they're giving that away, and then from the 16th of October all the way to the end on both platforms is possibly one of my games of the year a couple of years ago, and that's The Walking Dead Season 1. Cool. You're getting the complete Season 1 for free. I am envious of anyone who hasn't played The Walking Dead, because A, you get it for free, and B, it's amazing. And it will probably hook you into the rest of the Telltale games. Wow.
Yeah, you're envious of me then. I only completed the first episode of Season 1.
Oh my god! No, you've got. I mean, I've played it on both Xbox 360 and on Xbox One, and you have to play it, Darren. It is just fantastic.
I really always meant to. I got to the end of the first one, and sort of all the power went off on the road. Like there's it sort of left you. I think they were standing by a petrol station. I think the lights went off just at the end of that episode. I really enjoyed it, and I've got the whole season. And I just haven't found the time. But I loved it, and then I kind of forgot about it. So I definitely own it on 360.
Right.
I may even own it on Xbox One as well, but I just haven't got round to it. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it, and I want to see what happens, because I like that. I like that kind of game. That kind of game. So yeah, that's good stuff for Xbox. As you know, always good. It's kind of not free because you pay your subscription, but fantastic value for money as always.
Indeed. They really have. They've really pulled out some big guns over there. And then over on PlayStation, before we get to those new titles that are coming everybody's way on PlayStation Plus, have to say that on the 6th of November, 6th of October, not 6th of November, 6th of October, PlayStation will be removing Drive Club PlayStation Plus Edition. A bit weird, because that was, supposed to be a launch title that was always going to be free, but it's being removed. So Drive Club PS Plus Edition is being removed on the 6th of October. So if you haven't already grabbed it, then please do, because it's a great game. So kind of grab that. So that was a bit of a strange announcement that they gave us. But onto the good stuff, we have Broken Age. So we have Tim Schafer's. I think it was a Kickstarter, wasn't it? Broken Age, yeah. So Tim Schafer's Double Fine's Broken Age. The great thing about this, it comes out on PS4 and PS Vita. I know what I'm going to be playing it on. I have that on my Vita. So we're getting that, and then also on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita, we have Super Meat Boy is coming, and that's the first time that's hitting a PlayStation platform.
Wow. Yeah, Super Meat Boy's supposed to be good.
It's incredibly hard, and you will love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's supposed to be really hard, and I will probably love it. It was kind of like, I don't know if it's a roguelike, I don't know if it's procedurally generated or random, but it's a super hard platformer, isn't it? So
it really is, and it's one of those ones where the moment you die, you're straight back in. Do you know what I mean? You're like you're like dying, and you can just keep doing the same thing over and over again and dying at the same place.
For me, the quicker you can get back in and at it, that's just the one dynamic, the one mechanic to just create and make a game addictive instantly. But I was going to say or ask, you mentioned that Broken Age was a Kickstarter, and it was, and what happened was they didn't get enough money, I don't think, or something happened, and they decided to break it up into 2 parts. Do you remember that? So they sort of gave everyone that had funded it the first part, and then said, "Oh yeah, we'll need to bring out a second. We need more time to finish the game." And then they brought out an episode 2. So my question is, and I didn't see it anywhere, I couldn't find it answered. I'm presuming it's the whole thing that you're getting for free.
You are indeed, yes. You're getting all
Both
of it.
parts.
So this is, and it's also because it's got. I think is it Elijah Wood who plays the main character, does the vocal talents for Broken Age. So it's a hand painted 2D point and click adventure. Yeah. And it just looks absolutely fantastic. So yeah, you're getting both stories. I'm just looking right at the moment on the PlayStation blog, and you can see that you're getting both parts. So we've got that, and it continues. We've got Unmechanical Extended. That's on PS4 and PS3. Kickbeat on PlayStation Vita and PS3. Kung Fu Rabbit, I've never heard of that game, and there's not even a click-through for it on the PlayStation blog. That's on PS Vita and PS3, and then we've also got Chariot, which was a Games with Gold, an Xbox Games with Gold a couple of months ago, but strangely, that's only on PS3.
Oh, interesting. It's not bad, Chariot. It's okay, nice party game with as well, if there's only 2 of you. It's a nice 2-player game anyway.
So that's it. So that's kind of our free titles. So there's a lot to be playing amongst all those kind of large AAA blockbuster titles. So we've got a lot of free games to play as well.
Yeah, and remember you'll be able to. Well, we'll get to this, but they're easier to access now as well. But we'll cover that.
Nice tease.
We'll cover that shortly. The audience is chomping at the bit now.
How can we access that?
How does that happen? So yeah, that's fantastic. I'll get them all. You know, as Anthony's saying, get them especially on Xbox, because you get the 360 ones because they'll probably end up on backward compatibility. You know, so it's always worth getting them. I get them all now, but they just sit there. You know, I just get them, and then I just have to get them. Even if I've got no intention of playing them, I just get them anyway. But yeah, the next piece of news is from myself, and that's about PlayStation VR. So it's just that at EGX there was a talk about PlayStation VR, and they had Simon Benson, who is SCE, Sony Computer Entertainment Europe's director of the Worldwide Studios Immersive Technology Group, and he said, regarding VR, in 2013 we got the computing power we need. The PlayStation 4 is the most powerful games console there is, and an amazing platform for driving virtual reality. And what they wanted to do is they want to make games work really well, obviously. So they've had to drive them at a very high frame rate. And I've read this before that everybody's demanding 60 FPS, for our games that we play on our flat screens. Really, you need on a VR HMD, you need 60 FPS in each eye, so it equates to 120 FPS, and it confirms basically that the PlayStation 4 is going to deliver an HD image stereoscopic at 120 frames a second, and he says that that's double what most games deliver these days, which I've just explained. So it gives you the 60 FPS in each eye, because if it's 60 and it's 30 in each eye, I think that's when you start to, because it's so close and the immersion is so important in this medium, you start to notice the frame rate a whole lot more, when you're sort of really there. So it needs to be higher. But the good news is that PlayStation VR is going to deliver that. It also mentions that some games that are going to allow you to play them on PlayStation VR are going to be locked at 60 frames per second. But what they're going to do is they're going to offer 120 frames per second reprojection. So a little bit like an upscaling. So your PlayStation VR will, in essence, upscale or reproject that locked image, and it'll enhance it to the desired 120 FPS. Not sure how that's going to look, but I'm presuming that that's been well tested, and they'll be confident in that to be talking about it. So yeah, that's really good. The PlayStation has got the power to deliver this, because that's one of the key things I've seen on the sort of PC people talking about Oculus. It's like, well, it needs to be 120 frames per second, or it's rubbish, or you get sick and all this. I haven't had enough experience to understand why you need it, whether it's just the frame rate, whether it's motion sickness. But yeah, it's going to deliver, just from your PlayStation, and the HMD, it's gonna. You're not having to buy a £1,000 or £2,000 PC for this. It's gonna deliver what's being considered at the moment the optimum frame rate for this medium, and that's fantastic news.
That's really cool. I mean, now, forgive my ignorance, but does that mean we're going to have less complex or less in-depth looking games because they need to get that frame rate?
Yeah, I imagine something's got to give. So I don't think you're going to be... Say if Grand Theft Auto 5 came out for it, which you probably wouldn't, because it'd probably send you really crazy, with the motion sickness, that is, not with the not with the immersion. That would probably be pretty weird as well in first-person mode. I think the textures would drop.
Right.
I think it'd be something along those lines. But there may be, and again, I'm just sort of speculating here because I haven't used it enough to know, but it may be that you can't discern that as much when you're in VR. Or maybe you sort of you don't need that degree of texture. I don't know. It might be that it just doesn't look as good, and you can see it even worse in VR. As you can tell, I'm so hyped about it. I don't like to say anything
no,
bad
absolutely.
about it.
It might be a case of where what we're seeing on the Xbox at the moment, where a 1080p game on PlayStation will drop to 900p, and then you'll be able to lock it in at the 60 to 120 frames. So, and the 120 frames is just so when you're moving, it's just moving smoother. If you look at things like Uncharted, if you look at the Uncharted demo or the Uncharted collection on PlayStation, and if you look at Last of Us, that 60 frames a second really does give that extra motion, gives that extra fluidity to the character. So that's what they're doing now with the PlayStation VR.
Yeah, that's what I think will happen. I think we'll see a drop in graphical finesse, but so that's the price, but the reward is greater immersion and more diverse games. It's like a new dawn, because there's not going to be. There could be something new about this. You sort of had shoot 'em ups, and then you got the God games that got made, and then then you got 3D gaming, and then you got the FPS, which seems to have been dominant for so long. And there's not been anything really new for so long. It's as if it's plateaued. It's as if gaming really, there is no further place for it to go in the way that we consume it. You can have new ideas within these constructs or within these genres, but it's very difficult to spark a new genre. I remember back in the day with the Commodore 64, and games would come out with new genres, and when they worked and when it was good, it was amazing. But it's been such a plateau of that, and you can understand why that it's been that, because I can't think of anything. I want somebody to think of a new genre, but I can't think of anything myself. But with this new medium, it's sort of, it's completely wide open. There could be some hitherto unknown genres coming our way that we're going to really love. There might not be, but it's just the limit. The only limit here is your imagination. This is. I can't even suspect what's going to happen. But there might be more sedate experiences. It might just be that it lends itself to just things like walking simulators, like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and that kind of thing. I think that would be a good fit. And games like that, games where you just sort of experiences rather than games, if you know what I mean. It might be that it finds a direction that isn't gaming that we know of, but is more, when you talk about VR, you instantly, everybody just recognises that you're talking about a different kind of gaming. It'll be really interesting to see. Certainly I wouldn't say it's a good fit for third-person shooters in Manchester.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the games that kind of comes to mind instantly is things like Alien Isolation. That game game gave me the creeps just with headphones on, but with a VR headset, with PlayStation VR. God, I would love that. When I've locked myself in a locker, as I did quite a lot in that game, just kind of feeling so immersed by that would just be fantastic. My heart rate would be through the roof.
Yeah, or PT, if that would, PT, I bet that would be good. Yeah, so games like that, yeah.
Like I say, walking simulators, the slow-paced, your No Man's Sky, those kind of games would be fantastic.
Yeah, Unfinished Swan would probably be a good fit as well.
Just give it to us. When are we going to have it? That's what we've got HTC Vive, we've got Oculus, we've got PlayStation VR, and they're all just kind of dancing around dates at the moment. I want some hard dates, and I still don't know which one I would choose. I don't think I'll have space just in my room for all three. I think PlayStation VR is almost a given, because I would have to get a PC for the next one. But I don't know why I'd choose out of Oculus and HTC Vive, but I think PlayStation VR, just because it's there, definitely get it. I know Oculus they've been talking with Microsoft, but at the moment I haven't seen that. You plug it into an Xbox and you get the same as PlayStation VR from Oculus. So if that comes, then I'll have even more of a hard time, and I'll probably, it'll be funny because about a year's time I'll be like, yeah, I've got all three.
yeah, and we'll hark back to this conversation.
I'll play this podcast. Go, listen to this one where you said you were only going to have one, and now I've got. It's quite funny because I do walk around the house a lot with headphones on and listen to podcasts, and if I'm washing up or just tidying up or whatever, I've always got headphones on, and that annoys Nicola because they're sound cancelling. So even when she's calling out to me, I can't hear her. So now I'm going to sit there with the head-mounted device on as well at the same time. So.
Yeah, maybe we'll be doing this podcast through a VR medium. Maybe the podcast will elevate to sort of a VR thing.
Exactly. What I need is to be able to have a little button or something that, and then Nicola pops up into my VR space to tell me that, because otherwise, and I was saying it last week, that you're playing a good game when you look at your watch and it's kind of 1 o'clock in the morning. With VR, would that be, it would be like in Vegas, there's no clocks around, so you'll just keep playing, you'll just keep playing and playing and you won't realise what the time is.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the educational benefits, I think, are amazing. Like, in history, if they're doing about World War One, you can walk through the trenches, and be there and look round. You can look round at just you can watch, there'll be recreations of the most important events in history that you can watch as part of your class. And biology, oh man, it's just unbelievable. The ways that they're going to be able to utilise this and harness the power of this to educate and inform people. I think it's going to unleash a whole new way of consuming information. This is just me personally just speculating, but I think potentially it could be, I think I've said this before, but I think it could revolutionise things in the same way or to the same degree as the internet has. I really do. I think it's going to be amazing. But we've already been let down once with VR back in the day, with the rubbish VR in the 90s. Let's hope that this is going to be better. I'm confident from the reports I'm hearing, but we haven't had enough hands-on. No. If only we would have got some Vive time or something like that.
And what's fantastic is all the VR obviously is going to be heading to consumers in 2016, and mid to end of 2016, you've got Ready Player One, the movies coming out. So that is just perfectly timed to.
It is really good time, yeah.
Exactly. And I did read today in one of my kind of movie websites or movie feeds that I read that Ridley Scott is also he's directing a VR experience film as well.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, they're all due out in the first quarter of 2016, as it stands at the moment. Mm-hmm. I read a rumour that the PlayStation VR is rumoured to cost the same as the console. I don't know if you read that.
Well, they all said there will be console-like prices, didn't they? There was, today on one of my news feeds, I did see that HTC was saying that Oculus is going to cost $350. So they're all kind of calling out their competitors now, and it's a great space to be. It's almost like the console race, but with VR, and I'm quite interested. I just hope one of the things, and I think you and I talked about it at Eurogamer. The thing that I hope is that we're not going to get VR exclusive games. People trying to, obviously HTC, they've got, it's Valve, they could very easily just say, here's Half-Life 3, here's Left 4 Dead 3 or Dota 3, but I hope they share those games across all of at least the two PC experiences.
Yeah, I think they will get shared, but there will be exclusives to VR that just wouldn't work on anything else. So they'll be the exclusives, but the other ones I think they will be shared. But we'll see. For me, I'm just going to get Vive. I've made my mind up. I'm just waiting for it to release. It was supposed to be released in autumn, and that was my one little bit of solace from not getting a slot of testing it. I just thought, oh, well, never mind, I'm going to buy it anyway. But then I'm going to have to fight for a pre-order and all the rest of it. So there's no guarantees I'll get it anytime soon or anytime in the first quarter. It might just come out in the US first. So we'll see. So on to the next piece of news, and that is that it's been an interesting day today on the 1st of October 2015. There's been some changes to the Consumer Rights Act, and they came into effect today. And the interesting part about it for us, or the relevant part of it for our gaming podcast, is that it gives gamers better protection when it comes to faulty goods. So one of the main points is that it's going to increase protection for people who buy digital content. So if digital goods are faulty, there's a law now, as of today, that consumers are entitled to a full refund or a replacement. And this apparently is the first time that consumers have had clear-cut legal rights for this sort of content. So it's going to be interesting because the changes sort of say what you buy has to be of satisfactory quality, fit for purpose, and as described. Okay? But it's sort of getting at that if there's some great launch debacle of a game that's unfit to play, and I'm thinking of PC version of Batman, Arkham Knight, or
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed Unity. The Sims that came out on PC as well. That was awful, apparently, unplayable, getting onto unplayable. You're going to be able to, instead of just being stuck with it, because you're going to have right in law to get it either fixed within a reasonable time. That it must be that there's a reasonable time to get it fixed, or you get a refund. So it's going to be no more, just being told, well, the terms and conditions of your download said that there was no refunds on that. There's a law now. There's a precedent there. Well, I don't know if there's a precedent, but there's a law. As soon as the first one goes through, there'll be a precedent to say, well, look, this isn't fit for purpose. The thing that confuses me is it's quite subjective, not fit for purpose, because some gamers might say, oh, well, I fell through a floor once. That's not, for me, that isn't fit for purpose. It would take a lot for me to consider a game broken. But yeah, it's just an interesting change to consumer law to account for the digital age, really. Now, there's an example here from the Act that regards digital content being of satisfactory quality. All right, so I'll just read this. It says it's the norm to encounter some bugs in a complex game or piece of software on release. So a reasonable person might not expect that type of digital content to be free from minor defects. That sounds fair enough to me. Consequently, the application of the quality aspect, freedom from minor defects, to digital content will depend on reasonable expectations as to quality. So that's fair enough, isn't it? It's going to be in dire cases that you will have the right. You can't just say, like my last example, he fell through the floor once, you can get a refund within 30 days because of it. Complete the game, moan about one bug, and you can get a refund. It's not about that. It's got to be proved that it's not fit for purpose. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting in a lot of ways. Who's going to decide whether it's fit for purpose or not? Also, what's going to happen if, say, because, like, for instance, you download a game from PS Network, I'm pretty sure the T's and C's from Xbox are the same, and it's no refunds. That's it. But what happens if you downloaded Unity and it was really awful and not fit to play? This law is saying that if that happened now, you would be able to get it either repaired or get a refund. Okay, right, that's fine. So we've got that law. But what happens if you're downloading that game from a server that doesn't abide by this law? Or does it automatically have to abide by the law because it's being sold in our territory? And you get into all this legal stuff that I'm no expert on.
It's almost like whether the source is in one territory, so that abides by different laws, and then Microsoft could be as pedantic as saying, well, that was in this. But I think it's more of kind of where the consumer buys the product, and that's kind of where your consumer rights are. I think it's kind of more of, but it's an interesting one because even when I went to San Francisco early in the year, I went into San Francisco, bought a cover for Nicola's iPad. It wasn't the right one. They kind of missold it. It was more of an iPad Air 2, and I've got one. She's got an iPad Air. And so I took it back into the UK, and they were like, there's nothing we can do about that. And luckily, we had someone that was nice and said, look, let me just give you some store credit, which reminds me, that's still in my wallet, which gave me kind of some store credit for it on a card. But they just said, because it was somewhere else, because you bought it, you purchased it somewhere else, you had no consumer rights.
Well, I was reading also on NeoGAF that somebody was complaining that they went to PC World prior to this change, saying that some game didn't work or something. They were just like, well, it's not us. Read the license agreement. You've got to get in contact with Activision or whatever. Yeah. And I was just like, that's ridiculous. But this states clearly that it's down to the retailer. So if you bought it from PC World, then they would be accountable for giving you the refund. But if you bought it from PSN, then Sony would be. And if you bought it from Xbox Live, Microsoft would be. So it's there now in black and white regarding digital stuff. And yeah, it's just there. And I was thinking, because you were talking before about the Rainbow Six beta, and I was saying that, people are saying it's a bit of a mess. And it's like, well, they don't want to be releasing it. I mean, this is just a beta, so it doesn't matter. But it's like, well, get it sorted before you release it, because everything from now on is going to come under the microscope with this new Rights Act, And I believe that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 comes out tomorrow. And that, to all intents and purposes, from what I've read, is a complete buggy mess.
Yes. So if you pre-ordered that on Xbox One, you pre-ordered and download ready for tomorrow, and you was excited about that to come out, and then you, like you say, you fire it up and it's a complete buggy mess, then, hopefully, maybe, it might be too early for that law to be in place, but, what would happen there?
Yeah, and well, I mean, the law's in place today, but maybe they'd say, well, because you pre-ordered it before the law went down, it doesn't matter. But for anyone that buys it, I mean, that may well work. But if you digitally buy it tomorrow, the law is in place as today, then you could have grounds to say, look, this is ridiculous, I want my money back, and I don't know what's going to happen with that on PSN and Microsoft. But it's interesting because your PC stores like Steam and Good Old Gaming, they've had 30-day no-quibble refund policies in place. Steam, Good Old Gaming's had it for a while now, like months, I think. Maybe longer than that, maybe even years for them. Steam's more relatively new. I think it's 3 or 4 months they've had it.
I think they started with Batman, didn't they, with Arkham Knight?
Yeah.
I think that was the first title that they gave a mass refund for.
Yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So they've got those in place, and it hasn't broken those stores. There's an argument that it could open it up to abuse, but I'm hoping that the people that would take the mickey out of it, have it for 30 days and then complain or whatever, would be in the minority. And also, proving that it's broken may be more difficult. If a game's completable, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be something to watch. I wonder if there'll be a case. The next big buggy mess that comes out, I wonder if we're going to see this get cited and see something that happens about it, and it'll be linked directly into this. And if it does in the UK, that'll be quite good. There was a few American comments on the different forums that I read regarding this, saying, "Oh, well, it's a shame we can't have something like this in America." So I didn't realise that. I thought they would have had something already over the pond. And the final note that I wanted to make was that they're also, as part of this, it's also, the changes are also going to enable a legal change that lets British courts hear US-style class action lawsuits. And that means that where one or several people can sue on behalf of a much larger group. So that's another change that's being made to the law. So I think that means everyone could gang up together on EA or whatever. So we'll see
VR made me sick, so they all gang up on VR.
Yeah, and get millions. And the thing is, I'm all for consumer rights and reasonable prices and a refund if something's broken. But what I wouldn't want is that publishers get really scared. I'd rather have a game with some bugs in than not have a game. I'd rather have Battlefront coming out on time than being delayed because of getting it. I'd rather have it coming out on time in a patch.
Would you though? Like Fallout, if you remember Skyrim on PlayStation 3, if you were one of those guys that got Skyrim on PlayStation 3, it was unplayable for months. Unplayable for months on PlayStation 3. Over on Xbox, we were all in PC, we were lauding it and we were enjoying Skyrim, but PlayStation 3, it was just deleting saves, it was just buggy as hell, and if this law actually makes those publishers, those developers actually think twice before releasing something, then, I'm all for it.
Oh, yeah, me too. I mean, I don't want them to bring out unplayable disasters like Skyrim on PS3.
Arkham Knight on PC.
Yeah, and Arkham Knight on PC, and Assassin's Creed Unity, and Master Chief Collection with its... was it the matchmaking that was really awful?
Yeah, absolutely. It used to be a bit of a headache, just to get co-op for Nicola and I.
You could, but if you bought that game just for that, that's not fit for purpose. And so that's in there as well. And yeah, I'm all for that. I don't want any of that. But what I'm a bit worried about is if games are delayed because they're too scared to bring them out in case, they sort of get get too many refunds or something like that. That's all I was getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And long gone are the days. I mean, luckily, most of our, all of our consoles are online and they're patching, etc. Because you used to have a game. If a game was broken on a cartridge, that was it. I do sound like a granddad now, but that was it. It was buggy. I think there was only probably about 2 Nintendo cartridges that were ever fixed that you could take back, and then they would fix it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's sort of a new dawn of consumer rights for gamers. Let's see how it goes. I mean, if all it does is, if it's a deterrent to releasing shoddy rubbish that doesn't work, then all bloody all credit to them,
Absolutely. And then speaking of New Dawn, over on the PlayStation, we had a system update. So if you haven't fired up your PlayStation for a while, but fire it up now, because you'll notice that the PlayStation 3.0 or 3.00 system update is available now, and it's ready. As soon as you fire up, your PlayStation will say, you need to update it. It won't allow you to go online onto the PlayStation Network without. A quick highlight of some of the awesome features that are there we've now got events is one of the new features. Now, events, and I'm reading this from the PlayStation blog, but for instance, if there was a double XP racing event in Drive Club or a Team of the Week event in FIFA 16, you can register for these events straight from that cross-media bar. And then what will happen, you can actually set your PlayStation to auto-boot when those events kick off. So the moment you get that double XP racing event in Drive Club starts, your PlayStation 4 will ding into life and it will take you straight to that game. So that's quite a nice feature. And I think a lot of this kind of PlayStation 4's system update, like PlayStation the 3.0 system update, is kind of those kind of features. The next one is communities, where you can just get together, you can join a community where you can get together and share interests, games, post some pictures. You can join a party from that community. I think you can have about up to 100 people in a community. Look out for, if you're a regular listener or just a new listener to Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast, we do have a Gamers of the Lost Spark community, so feel free to jump on and join in that. We're going to be I think we'll be really active when the Star Wars beta and then when Star Wars comes out. As Darren was alluding to earlier in the show, we're also PlayStation Plus now has a dedicated section on the home screen, and quite rightly so. Quick access to all those free games that we've already talked about. That's all there and all ready to go. I think also with PlayStation Plus, they've also got a 10 gig increase on your online storage as well for all of your saves and your movies and pictures. So that's quite good. That's a nice bump.
Yeah, it is. We'll stop getting all those annoying error messages that you can't upload the save. You just get like reams and reams and reams of messages. And
yes.
You've got to go and delete them all, because there's no way to delete them all in one go.
Absolutely.
I sat there going, delete. So, it's like start, delete, start, delete, start, delete. So yeah, no, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a few more. One of them was quite interesting, and someone highlighted it in a podcast I was watching last night, and that's the sharing video clips to Twitter. Now, what you can do, you can take a video clip, 10 second in length, and then you can then share it to Twitter. One of the cheeky things that it does is it says, here's Wythanator's kind of Metal Gear. He's been fortuning a sheep, which is actually the background of our community at the moment. I fortuned a sheep, and I took a picture of it. So that kind of made me chuckle. And when you share those clips to Twitter, what it actually does is it puts a cheeky little link to the PlayStation Store for that game. So it's like, so here's a clip of Metal Gear Solid, and it will take you. There's a little hyperlink that obviously takes some of your 140 characters, and it goes straight to the store. So they're giving you the ability to share your clips, but at the same time they're also kind of going, and you can buy it here. So which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and you can advertise for us here.
Absolutely, you're all advertising. Thank you. I mean, it's quite interesting because a lot of the time when you post a video, it's probably because something buggy's happened or something funny. So it's not really a good advert for games, but
Yeah, that's funny.
It's a hyperlink that you can click on. But one of the best features, and we actually spoke to them during the Eurogamer, and it was that YouTube Live, so live streaming directly from PS4, is now an option, and that will go straight to the Games Hub ad on YouTube. And we spoke to the guys at YouTube, and we had a bit of a demo of this, and we were just talking about kind of live streaming, and so we could live stream some Star Wars and things. And we had quite an interesting chat with them, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really cool. He was a very knowledgeable guy, wasn't it, that we get to chat to? And all part of YouTube Gaming. It's sort of both YouTube Gaming's, well, it's only just really been switched on a month or so ago, and it ties in quite well with the new PS4 update 3.0, doesn't it? And I liked the fact that, for me, the main thing about YouTube Gaming over Twitch was the fact that they sort of incorporate the DVR side into it. So if somebody is watching you, so you're playing on Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise on the PS4. If you could, if only you could, and I'm watching you, and you're live streaming. But if I nip off to get the door or the phone or whatever and come back, then I can rewind it. There's a buffer, and there was a massive buffer. He said like 4-hour buffer on YouTube, didn't he?
Yes, it kind of does rolling 4 hours at any point, and you can pause and rewind. So if you miss some of that Horstachio goodness or wanted to see me capture a fudge hog, you could just rewind and pause.
Fulton a fudge hog.
Oh, that would be just so cool. And I do wonder how many other games are going to start stealing from Metal Gear Solid. You know, have that Fulton technique, or it'd be called something else, obviously. But you know, in Viva Pinata, to kind of pack away an animal, you do put it in a box, and then the box flies off. So let's have an update to Viva Pinata, please, Rare, and put some Fulton in there.
Maybe Metal Gear copied Viva Pinata.
Exactly. You know, I thought I saw a Fizzly Bear roaming the wilds of Afghanistan the other day.
Wow, Fulton's a real thing, though.
Really?
Yeah. Just it's a military thing. Fulton surface-to-air recovery system.
Wow, is that the thing that they had in Dark Knight? Where they had the balloon, and they kind of like, Batman wrapped him around that guy that they wanted to take back, and then a plane picked him up.
That's it, yeah.
Was that it?
Yep.
Oh, I love that bit.
Wow, I know. And I was stood next to some...
I thought you were going to say you stood next to someone and they were Fulton.
And they were Fulton, and I was like, wow, but I was all right because I was
just outside of Sainsbury's.
No, I saw some canisters just sort of like the other day. And there was a few around the NEC, actually, and all I could think of, I was like, I could get them. Good Fulton then.
See, that's when you know a game's in your head, isn't it? It's like when I was playing Crackdown. There used to be Guy's Hospital. So when I go into London, I go through London Bridge, and Guy's Hospital is there, and it's got a very Crackdown-looking building. And I remember when I was playing it, I used to just look at it and go, I could jump from there. There's probably an orb at the top. You know, so that's when you know a game's in your head. But anyway, back to PlayStation. So we've got YouTube Gaming. So I want to have a play of that and see what that's like. There's also there's lots of other features that you can find on the PlayStation blog, but another one of the features is you can create favourite groups. So if you have a Destiny Fire team, a group of rebels for Star Wars Battlefront, you can group those guys together, so it's very easy just to see if your team is there. You know, if you've got hundreds of friends on PlayStation Network, then this is a way of just kind of segregating those and just say, right, these are guys I play Destiny with, these are guys I play Star Wars Battlefront, these are Drive Club. So there's some really nice little features. There's nothing, and I feel bad because obviously a lot of people have put a lot of effort into this. There's some great features. It's very good. It's nice to see that it's moving on and that it's being updated, you know, because Microsoft are doing a great job of kind of month on kind of updating, although we didn't have anything for September, I don't think. Maybe because they were getting ready for this big one that's coming very soon. But there's nothing groundbreaking in this. Not even the stickers are groundbreaking, are they, really? No,
not really. I'd trade it all for a ping when a friend came online.
See, I can't believe that doesn't happen. And it's really funny, no matter how many times I play PlayStation, I forget about that. But it's not until you come back out to the XMB that you realise that you're online and I've just missed maybe some gaming time with you.
I got so used to it on 360, you know, that it's just like pink, and on Xbox One, it's just like pink, you know, it's like somebody's come online. It's interesting to know that and it's very requested. I'm really surprised that it's not there. Maybe it is there and nobody's come online while I've had the update, because I've only had the update a few hours. And if so, I'll take that back and I'll be happy to be wrong. But yeah, that's what I'd really like. Above all, the live streaming with DVR and all the rest of it, and exporting videos to Twitter. Something that's just useful, like knowing who's online as they come online, would be really nice.
Absolutely. I mean, even one step better than just knowing when someone's online when you're playing, if you have the Xbox app on iOS or Android, you can actually set the app to notify you when your favourites come online. So you can set a group of people as your favourites. Maybe you're going to play Star Wars or Destiny, and you want to know when those guys fire up their Xboxes. You can actually get your phone or your iPad to notify when those guys come online. So it's really good. You just add them to favourites, and then it's a setting. I actually get it that when one of my favourites come online, my watch pings. So it's there, so I know that they're online, and then you can instantly jump online and game.
That's such a cool extension of that feature. I didn't know you could do that. I've got the app. I'll have to set that up. That's really cool. I can spy on people and see when they're playing. Brilliant. Well, the next item is sort of a follow-up piece to a piece that we discussed last week, where we discussed Michael Pachter's prediction on this being sort of the last true console generation. And I won't go into what he said, because we sort of went on about it last week for a while. You could always listen to episode 19, though, and hear it all there. But interestingly, during a live stream panel that was at EGX, it wasn't on the day that we were there, but Shuhei Yoshida replied or responded to Michael's theory. So I'll let you know what he said. He said, "Michael is fun to listen to, right?" And then laughed. So Michael is fun to listen to, right? Silence for a little while. And then he said, "We look at all these analyst reports, and every year from the same company, the forecast changes hugely because of the things that happen in the year before. They change their prediction dramatically. I don't, mind hearing something like that because it's so interesting. Consoles were announced dead for the longest time. Even at the time when PlayStation 1 was being worked on, some analysts said that PC games would dominate in the future and there would be no place for home consoles. Every time these things are proven wrong, and as long as we have passionate people wanting to continue to play games on consoles, we will try hard to continue and may even make it bigger for the future." So that was a nice response, I thought, from old Shuhei there, our friend.
And he's someone who knows, he's probably already had a look at or is already planning.
Yeah, he knows what's coming, yeah.
Exactly, PlayStation 5. So it's an interesting one. And, and I guess he's quite right. It was quite interesting reading the comments after our podcast last week, as you say, episode 19, which we actually titled Pack Attack, or whatever we titled. I can't remember what the title was now.
Pack to Basics.
That's it. And, there was a lot of comments over on M4G as well, just saying that, they just want him to go away for next generation rather than the console. So it was quite interesting how we got some great comments.
Yeah, it was very funny. And they're right, and as we said when we discussed it, he's not right about everything, as he predicted, for instance, that Blockbuster would be the dominant film distributor over Netflix. That was one of his predictions. So, from that you can just see that he's not always right. But when he says something, it usually gains a bit of traction and momentum and press and stuff. Probably because of he's sort of he's an analyst and what have you. But I'm not sure if games is his absolute focus. But when he makes a comment on games, there's always several write-ups about it. And I think Shuhei Yoshida is right on this one. But we'll see. I think what Pachter's saying there is sort of the destiny that it will get to, as technology advances and things. You won't need something as a sort of course, if you like, as a console to enable you to game. But it's anyone could say that. It's easy to predict that because obviously everything's getting better and getting smaller and things. We'll probably just game through our contact lenses one day. And then you just add next year on it, and it becomes a big drama. But it's interesting to just hear the points of view of people within the industry, isn't it?
Absolutely, and like I say, you kind of listen to someone like Shuhei Yoshida a bit more than you would Michael Pachter, because obviously Shuhei is probably having those discussions right now about what they should be doing at Christmas 2020.
Yeah, absolutely, and who knows how good that's going to be.
Indeed, and the next piece of news that I have was also from one of those developer sessions from Eurogamer, and that was a developer session from Mark Warburton, and he's a developer at TT Games, so Traveller's Tale Games is now called TT. I guess they were probably getting mixed up with Telltale Games a lot, so they've changed their name now to TT Games. So they're the guys that always have given us Lego games for many years, and the news that came from them is that Lego Dimensions that came out this week, and I haven't been near a game because I'm scared to go in there, but Lego Dimensions that came out is going to be supported for 3 years. Now this I just thought was a fantastic move, and I say well done TT Games, because both Skylanders and Disney Infinity, and we all know that I'm big into those Toys for Life, and Disney Infinity is my platform at the moment. But I'm already on Disney Infinity 3.0, so I've already bought 3 games for Disney Infinity. Luckily, with Disney Infinity 3.0, I could buy it without the base, but 1 and 2 I had to buy with the base. So I bought the base twice. But what they're saying is Lego Dimensions is going to be supported for 3 years. So he's just said, we've already created the toy pad, done. So we don't need to update that, and we're going to be supporting this all the way to 2018. So if you're a parent or just like me, incredibly nerdy and love this stuff, you're just going to, these games are just going to be supported by these level packs. There's already a whole bunch of level packs out already. They have like Simpsons, Back to the Future, etc., Ghostbusters, and they've got more and more coming. They've already got some more coming. They've got it scheduled for November, January and March 2015, 2016, and they've just got more and more of these packs, and that's what they're planning on doing. So they're saying, we've got the core game, that's there, it's not changing, we're just going to keep feeding you guys with these level packs.
Yeah, that's really good. I was looking at it in a game shop actually on its release day, which I think was the 29th, wasn't it? Day before yesterday.
Yes.
And it looks pretty cool. So the 3 figures that you get as the starter pack, I think you get Gandalf, Wild Style, and Batman.
And also the Batmobile as well, don't you?
Yeah, which you can build other things out of, can't you? You can build other things out of those bricks. The portal looks cool. And I was a bit shocked at the price of £89, but I did see that it was written on sort of the point of sale display. It said, this is the only game you need for years to come.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And they didn't say how many years on it, but it was really good that you mentioned that. And that it's 3 years for definite. And I imagine they'll extend that if it goes well. And I've been hearing the buzz that I'm hearing about the people that have had some hands-on time on it. They're saying it's good. It's sort of the sort of most breakthrough Lego game since, say, Star Wars, because they all got a bit samey. But they're saying this is kind of like a breath of fresh air with the way they've done it, and it's really well thought out. So yeah, it seems like it's okay. Maybe it's difficult, because I don't really play them. So it must be difficult. I'll rephrase this. It must be difficult for yourself who's into them, which one to go for. I presume Skylanders is sort of out there now. It's not in the running. But between Disney Infinity and Lego, that's a hard choice to make. I mean, it's easy to say both, but it's a hard choice to make. I feel sorry for parents as well,
No, I do. I just feel sorry if you've got kids that are they see this, and I already know one of my friends, he's going to be buying it for his kid at Christmas. I think it may be actually for him rather than his way, And that's the great thing about it, I just think there's going to be a lot of parents, you sit there, you can build the portal together. I mean, I do love Lego, and I'm a big fan of Lego, and this is calling me, but I'm also Star Wars, Marvel have kind of got me, so that's why I'm kind of still staying with Disney Infinity. Whether I will crumble at some point and just go into game and then come out with a whole bevy full of Lego in Lego Dimensions, we'll wait and see. But it definitely looks good. The Simpsons level looks quite good. It looks almost stylized like the Simpsons. And interestingly enough, on the 29th of January, I found out the the Eurogamer show, they're still bringing out Lego games. So there's a Lego Avengers game that's coming out on the 29th, which was quite interesting. That they're still bringing out those kind of, if you will, traditional Lego games, as well as feeding Lego Dimensions.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast, I can't remember what it was called, and they were talking about this game, and they said that one thing they noticed is that it's kind of the incentive to buy a new figure or a level pack, but I think this is more about a figure, is that the different figures have different powers, so that you'll be able to access certain areas or do certain things. And I can recognise this because I've played a few Lego games, and it says, for instance, you need to be able to, explode metal to do this. Do you know what I'm getting at there?
I do indeed, yeah, because I mean, when I play Lego games, I just kind of play through the story, pick off some interesting achievements, but I watch Nicola play it, and she always kind of gets 1,000 achievements on Xbox and gets 100%, does not stop until she's got 100%.
That's good work.
And you just see her kind of finding levels that I didn't even know existed. You
need to backtrack with the characters you unlock, don't you, later on?
Absolutely.
And backtrack. And so that's really cool, but what they've done here, obviously, is they can't give you the access straight away. The incentive is to buy the figure with that power.
Right.
And it's almost as if it's kind of like going to be a bit of a slap in the face to people that are used to the traditional Lego games, where that's just a given, that if you work hard through the game, you'd get that anyway. But I suppose the argument is, but that's only with, I was going to say only with a few characters, but crikey, in Star Wars and like Marvel, the Lego Marvel Heroes, there's loads of characters in there.
Yeah.
So, so there's that sort of thing about it. It's kind of like, hold on, usually I'd just get that if I just completed, got really far in the game and tried really hard, I'd get this as a reward anyway. But we'll just see how it evolves. It's Toys to Life, and that's the way that Toys to Life works.
Absolutely. There's a lot of hype around Toys to Life at the moment because Star Wars, the original Star Wars pack comes out on Friday, so tomorrow, which is kind of Han Solo and Chewbacca and Leia, and that looks fantastic. And also Skylanders Skyforce now with cars or something, that's out as well in the same day. So we've got this 1 week where there has been an explosion of Toys to Life games.
Yeah, and I just thought of it then. The whole reason these Toy to Life games have been brought out, this is just a theory, incidentally, it's not a fact, is so that the game shops are going to have something to do when all the games go digital, because these can't be delivered digitally. Because you're going to buy your figures. So what will happen to the likes of Granger Games, etc., is they will just become outlets to buy your Toys to Life games, and all your other stuff will be digitally delivered.
Indeed. Absolutely. I mean, I think we spoke about it last week as well, didn't we? Where we were fantasizing about Microsoft Games to Life.
Yeah.
So that was I'm still thinking about that. But so anyway, what's up next? That's with me, and this might be the shortest news story I've ever delivered on this podcast. But if you didn't know, the Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection demo is out as of a couple of days ago. So you can grab hold of a demo of a level. It's Chapter 5 from Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, and you can get involved and see what you think. If you've never played it, you can have a look and just see if it floats your boat. If you have played it, you can grab it, like I'm going to have a look, and see how it compares and whether it influences you into revisiting your old adventures with Nate and co. So that's about it for that one. But, demos are quite rare. I didn't expect to get a demo of this, so it's quite good that there's one up there. But I will tell you something, actually. While I was on the store looking for this demo, I noticed something that annoyed me on the PS Store, and that was they got some, Arcade Archive suite of games, because I noticed Mooncrester, and I thought, I played Mooncrester when I was about 7. That was, it was cool. So, do you remember Mooncrester? No.
What about Terracrester?
Nope.
Remember that? Karate Champ? These are all bypassed you, so never mind. But anyway, so there's this kind of.
I can't even say you're older than me because you're not.
That's weird. I thought you'd heard of one of them. But anyway, these are really old games, from early 80s, maybe late 70s for some of them. Basic games, like Mooncrester's a little bit like Phoenix or Space Invaders. Terracrester is one of the very early top-down shooters, as you float from the bottom of the screen to the top, taking on waves of baddies. Karate Champ. In the arcade, you had a red guy and a white guy in karate outfits, and you used two joysticks each to do the moves. So, like, up on both of the joysticks was jump, down on both was foot sweep, and the best one was when you put them both towards each other, so the left hand went right and the right hand went left. You pointed them both at each other, and that was a roundhouse. It was a cool game, man. So I thought, oh wow, these are really cool, but they're $7.99 each, and I thought, what? £8 for a game that's probably about 20k. It really annoyed me.
Wow.
And I just thought to myself, I remembered about the remember seeing that you could play some games in a browser. It was like, oh, you could play this in a browser, you could play that in a browser.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I'm sure that's called the Gaming Archive or something. So I did a quick search for Gaming Archive, and I found it. If you search, it's actually called the Internet Arcade. And if you do a search for the Internet Arcade, it's in the Internet Archive, but you can get there just by searching Internet Arcade on Google. And there is an arcade there where you can play loads of games for free, not for £8 each, in a browser. And some of them are a lot more complex than this. So I had a look, and what it does is you can pick any game that's in the list, and then what it does is it downloads the ROM into the browser, and then it downloads the emulator, then launches an emulator. It uses MAME, which is quite a popular emulator for arcade games, and then you can play the game in your browser. And this must be completely legal because it's in the Internet Archive. And the games, I'll give you a quick sample of the games, and hopefully you've heard some of these ones. Actually, I was going to read some really weird ones then, just to make you feel that you didn't know any. Mr. Do, Hunchback, Pitfall 2.
I remember Hunchback.
Zaxxon.
Yeah, of course.
Phoenix. And Q-Bert.
Yep.
Tapper.
Tapper.
Good old Tapper. What else have we got? Even Road Blasters. R-Type 1 and 2. Tubing, which is that one where you're in sort of a rubber ring on the rapids. There's loads, man. There's like 600 games that you can just play in your browser. I never knew about it. So it's really cool, you know. Emulation without the guilt or the worry that I'm sure everybody has if they play any emulated games. So I say, you know, save your £8 and go to the Internet Archive and have a go at some of these fine retro games for free. Food Fight. There's some really weird ones that I don't remember, like Cheeky Mouse, D-Day, but there's also some really good ones like Joust, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. You know, some Defender. So it's cool, man. I'll put a link in the notes. It's cool.
I like how you said it. This will be your quickest news story ever, and then you just went off onto a tangent.
Oh, yeah. I'll try again next time.
I was going to say, I think because originally this was a news article about the Drake collection. I played it last night, and I really enjoyed it. It got me super hyped for when it comes out, because as we all know, I shamingly haven't played Uncharted at all, and the one thing I would say, it's obviously going to take a bit of getting used to. The controls still seem a little bit old school, but I'm sure I'll get used to that. But the jumping and swinging and all round kind of Unchartedness was very lovely, and it looked fantastic as well.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I've got it downloaded. Using my preferred way, which is using the app to do any downloads. I just find it easier to navigate than the store. So I haven't looked at it yet, so I'm going to have a look. I'm hoping I'm not going to be sort of... Because I've got it in sort of an ivory tower in my mind, but...
Oh, no, it looks great. I mean, I'll be interested to have a play and then have a chat about it next week, because I'll be interested to see what you think, because I'm thinking, yeah, that looks great, you know, and I can't wait to when that collection comes out in November, I'm thinking.
Yeah, brilliant.
Fantastic. The next story is with me, and this is about... It's a bit of a strange one, actually. This is about Austin-based developer Twisted Pixel. Now, for those people that are in or have an Xbox or know about Microsoft, Twisted Pixel, they're the creators of the fantastic games such as The Maw, Splosion Man, Comic Jumper, and then they created Loco Cycle, and Gunstringer. You notice how I've got those are the fantastic ones, and then they also created these. But they back in 2011, they were bought by Microsoft, or they started to partner with Microsoft as a Microsoft-only exclusive second party, if you will, I think, or even they became a first-party studio for Microsoft. Well, this week, they have announced that they have now split ways, so they're now going their separate ways with Microsoft. Now, both Phil Spencer and also Twisted Pixel co-founder Josh Baer have both, jumped onto Twitter and said, we still love each other. It's all fantastic, but just Twisted Pixel wants to kind of do its own thing. So this is quite interesting how someone who was obviously bought by Microsoft, had all the backing of Microsoft, but now is now ready and available to go multi-platform. I mean, I think as always happens with something like that, the gamer could potentially win, because it could mean that you could have, I don't know, they're probably a Microsoft IP now, but you could have things like The Maw or Explosion Man or Comic Jumper coming to PlayStation, and that would be fantastic because they were all really good, like kind of arcade indie titles, if you will. One of the interesting things about this whole story is, and I got the quote here, was that Josh Baer, who was the co-founder of Twisted Pixel, said, Microsoft have been an incredible partner since day one, and we've always kept a background dialogue open with them about the idea of returning to an independent studio, which is quite interesting how they're taking all of kind of Microsoft's money and all their backing, but at the same time kind of keeping one eye on the door.
Well, it's good to keep your options open, isn't it? It'd be quite, if you were there in the under the wing of Microsoft, it's kind of like it'd take a lot of courage to step out.
It really would. I mean, I don't know if Gunstringer was a Kinect title. Loco Cycle. I keep calling it Loco Roco.
Loco Roco was a good game.
Yeah, Loco Cycle was a launch title for Xbox One, and you kind of feel like maybe they were made to make those two games, because, like I say, Explosion Man, Miss Explosion Man, and The Maw, they were adorable games. They were fantastic games, and I enjoyed all of those so much on the Xbox 360, Xbox Arcade titles. So maybe they just got fed up with making those titles, and then that's why they're breaking away. Yeah,
they weren't allowed to realise their potential. They felt that maybe, or something. I remember reading and seeing about Loco Cycle in the run up to the launch of Xbox One, and it was just so amusing to read the articles from the sort of mainstream gaming press, not saying they're blatantly obvious that it was a pile of poo. You could tell it from miles away, couldn't you? But it's as if there's a rule that on previews you're not allowed to say the truth.
Yes.
And it's like all these ways of gliding around that blatant truth. It's like, look, we can see it's rubbish. I feel sorry for the guys that had to report on that.
Yes.
That's the bad side of the gaming industry, having to shout and cheer for things that your heart isn't in.
Absolutely.
In a lot of jobs, you got to do that. Not everybody has the dream job that they love and everything, but when you're passionate about something, it's a bit of a killer, isn't it? It's like, woohoo, Loco Cycle, and you just know. You just know it's a train wreck.
Indeed. And I think just to close this news item off, the Microsoft Studios general manager, which is John Needham, he basically just says, I can't wait to see what this talented team create next. So, which is a little bit worrying, because we obviously haven't had anything since Loco Cycle a couple of years ago, and if he doesn't know what Twisted Pixel are doing next, maybe we've got a couple of years before we get a new game from them.
Wow, well, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they're going to break out something in VR.
Yes. Or maybe they're just going to do 1080p more and put it on PlayStation 4. I'd buy that.
Yeah, definitely. That'd probably be the wisest thing. It'd be the safer thing to do, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And then you're up next. You've got some news on our mate Phil.
Oh, our mate Phil, yeah. Phil, again, being prominent in the industry circles, giving a nice interview to GameSpot.com. And this is just a really nice interview, and it's a good insight, as usual, into Phil's the way Phil thinks about games, really, and his stance and his standpoint within his role as leading the Xbox brand. He's a likeable guy. He's a gamer, and I think we both agree on this, that since stepping up into this role, he's just done a world of good for the Xbox brand, and I think the way that it's going is a great direction. So there's a whole big interview here, and I'm not going to read it all, but it talks about. They ask him about what he thinks about Halo, how it's going to stand up to the likes of Destiny and Star Wars Battlefront because of the multiplayer focus. They talk about HoloLens, where he sees the future of HoloLens and how that's going to work. They talk about all sorts of things. Windows 10. They talk about the state of Master Chief Collection and how that affected the brand and what he thinks about that. And he answers it all quite frankly and honestly. And it's a really good read. But just the one snippet that I thought I'd mention from it was they talked about Halo. And this for me is quite an interesting point because it's about what I'm a bit scared of is happening with Dark Souls / Demon Souls franchise. Is all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, people like that. Let's bring out one a week. And it's good to see that he's not into this. So they ask him, for something like Halo, you guys usually have, this is GameSpot, they say that you've had years between major Halo releases. Would you ever consider tightening that up and getting more Halo out there? Have you ever thought of having Halo as an annual franchise, for instance? And he answers it. It's quite a lengthy answer, but I'll just go to the last paragraph because I think it sums it up quite well. And Phil says that for him, he likes seeing the ability to get excited about a release. And he likes the build-up of hype for that, and then it plays. He says, I don't want to overplay or overuse the franchise. It's a franchise and an IP that I expect to be around 20 years from now. Much the same way Star Wars and Spider-Man and other things are. I think it has the weight that it can support that, but I think that the franchise then needs to be managed in a way that doesn't burn it out. And I think that is just words of wisdom.
Yes, he's a smart man, isn't he?
He's completely right, Yeah, it's like,
really
don't wear out your welcome.
Yes. And it's quite interesting because we're a fickle bunch, us gamers. We'll want stuff, and then the moment we get too much, people then are all kind of very quick to go to use that word, to use fatigue and say that we're being saturated with it. It's very interesting if you look at the cinematic universe that Marvel are putting together in DC. People have been wanting this for years. I've been wanting it all my life, and then suddenly Marvel and DC say, "Here you go. This is what you got until 2020." And instantly people have gone, too much. It's too much. It's going to burn out. No, it's not. They're just giving us some good stuff, and I'm quite happy, and I'm quite pleased that Phil kind of said that, because I would hate, as much as I love Halo games, and I'm mega excited for the 27th, and Nicola and I are taking a day off work. We want to get that campaign and we want to play it. But I wouldn't want that every year, because I do like that build up.
Yeah, and I do too, and I think that's part of the secret sauce with GTA as well.
Yes.
It's about having the discipline to not just keep rushing it through, and I think that's where Ubisoft has made a bit of a mistake in its climb to its lofty heights. I mean, it still sells bucket loads, but for the discerning gamer like you and I, it's just all a bit too much, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, I'll put the link in the notes. But it's a really good interview, and he talks about all sorts of things. He talks about the future of VR. They ask him about a lack of co-op in Halo 5, and he gives his reasons for that. So yeah, it's a nice read. So I just thought it was worth bringing up.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. It's also worthwhile noticing he was obviously doing a bit of an interview kind of round, because he's also on last week's episode of Podcast Unlocked with Ryan McCaffrey, where they have an interview, and he always seems to appear on Podcast Unlocked, kind of rather than Major Nelson's show. If I was Larry Herb, I'd be a bit worried that your boss isn't coming near or by. So he also had an interview there, about a 25-minute interview, very interesting. And I will say that I follow Phil Spencer on Xbox Live, and he's Drivatar in Forza. Some of those corners, he takes them a bit kind of is a bit scary, but and also saying kind of like Phil's kind of gaming kudos. One of the there is a challenge within Forza 6 which you have to race against the ghost of one of Phil Spencer's kind of best lap times.
How awesome is that?
It's fantastic. The head of the industry, the end of the studio, and you're racing against his ghost. It's just fantastic.
I love it that technology allows that sort of, albeit virtual, but that closeness and that sort of interactivity with the guys that are pioneering the way forward in games. It's so awesome.
Absolutely, it's fantastic. And so, right, up next, we have a flurry of news that has come from Telltale. So I think the one of the developers, the creative communications lead at Telltale Games, jumped onto Twitter a couple of nights ago and had an impromptu Q&A session, just saying to any of the fans, ask me anything, and I can answer as much as I can. And he was saying that in October, it's going to kick off a mega month, starting with, of course, one that Darren's looking out for, which is October 13th. We've got Minecraft, episode 1 of Minecraft Story Mode. So that launches on October 13th. There's a new trailer, which I'll put a link into the notes of the podcast, but a new trailer dropped tonight, which I had a quick look at before we recorded the podcast. So that's happening on October the 13th. I said the first episode will also be longer than 90 minutes, so which is kind of unusual at the moment for Telltale Games. They seem to be going a good kind of hour 45 tops. So we're going to get a nice kind of introduction to Minecraft. We're also, in October, in this mega month, we're going to get the final episodes of my favourite Telltale game so far, which is Tales from the Borderlands, and also we're going to be wrapping up on the Game of Thrones as well. So that sounds incredibly interesting. Like, we're going to have a great October with those games. And then, at the end of the fall, so which is any time up until, I think, mid-December, winter kicks in, we will have The Walking Dead, and we'll have a free episode Michonne miniseries. So anyone who's watching Walking Dead, Michonne is a badass character. I love Michonne. She's such a fantastic. She was a fantastic character in both the graphic novels and also on the TV show as well. And she's one of my favourites. And so we're getting actually a 3-part kind of mini story with her, which I'm kind of super excited to play.
Wow, they're busy guys at Telltale.
Well, indeed. I mean, they were also saying that they could potentially lips of seal, but a potential Wolf Among Us sequel, which would be amazing. Cool. And then also we've got the Marvel project as well, but the Marvel project is not happening until 2016. Phew.
Brilliant. Wow. Can I just tap your comic book knowledge a second? I hope you know the answer.
Yes.
I don't want to embarrass you or anything.
If I don't, I've got Google here.
I know, I'm lazy not using it. Wolf Among Us is based on a series of comic books, isn't it?
It is indeed. Fables.
Fables?
Yes.
Right. You might have even given me that series.
It's DC Vertigo Fables. I'm glad you kind of hit that, because I know everything about that. But yes, it is it's fantastic. Fables has been going on since, I think, about 2002. And they are just fantastic. Bill Wingingham, I believe, is the writer, and he also does some of the artwork as well.
It's almost as if Once Upon a Time that series was a little bit inspired from it as well. But I was just interested because I wouldn't mind reading the comics.
Oh, absolutely! It's completely, fairy tale, folklore. They're all in New York City. It's fantastic. It's the great thing about Fables now is obviously you can collect them as weekly comic books, but they also have them in graphic novels, and they just have them in kind of big volumes and hardback volumes, and they look fantastic. In my movie room, just above Nicola's TV, there's a whole load of Fables and Scott Pilgrims and things like that, and they just look very good.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, thank you for that, mate.
No worries.
I knew you'd come through. So the next piece of news is with myself, and this is about one of your favourite places. San Francisco has got a theme park called Great America. Have you heard of this? California's Great America?
No,
have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Well, they've got a theme park anyway, and guess what they're doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They are building a Mass Effect 4D ride.
What?
So
4D, that means water, doesn't it, when a 4D? It's going to spray you with water.
The only 4D I went on was the Shrek 4D. That's what I've been on.
Right.
That involved a bit of water, but a bit of tickling your legs, like where spiders run past and things like that. So yeah, it's a bit touchy as well.
It's touchy-feely.
I don't know whether that's got anything to do with maybe romance options being available on the ride.
Yes.
But they say, they've teamed up. So Great America, what's it called again? It's called California's Great America theme park, and they've teamed up with EA to create this first-of-its-kind experience. It's a dynamic new attraction, and it's going to feature settings and characters from EA's Mass Effect series, developed by BioWare. It's going to open next season in a newly renovated action theatre, so it's going to be a watchable thing, like that Shrek 4D probably, or the Captain EO thing.
Mm-hmm.
My Disney stuff is very out of date. I haven't been there for about 10 years. Now, the bit that I highlighted was that they say it's an exciting guest experience. It's going to involve cutting-edge technology customised for the theme park, and it's going to deliver 4D effects combined with a live performer and incredible special effects. You'll be taken on a thrilling adventure across the galaxy where you will travel through awe-inspiring landscapes, face off against bigger-than-life adversaries, and ultimately help save the day. It could be, if they do that right, it could be well cool.
Fantastic. Sounds great.
Yeah, so if you go, because I know you really like San Francisco, if you go back, next year or, by next season, you might have to find that place and go and check it out.
Absolutely. That sounds like great fun. So when's that coming? That's coming, what, kind of 2016 or...
They said next season, so presumably, next summer, I suppose that would mean, so mid-2016, middle of 2016.
That's fantastic. I'll check that out and have a look, see what that theme park's like. I might be missing something when I'm going to San Francisco.
On the website, it shows lots of twisty-turny roller coasters and stuff. But I've never heard of it before.
Oh, fantastic. There's me just kind of getting coffee and beer and watermelon beer and things like that. I should be exploring and going to theme parks there. That sounds fantastic.
There's no need at the moment. The ride's not there, but you'll be missing out if you don't visit it next time.
Yes, indeed.
I'd love a Mass Effect ride. I think because the Terminator ride that I've been on at Universal, that's probably a bit dated as well now. But when I saw that,
they still do it. I went 2 years ago and it's still on.
Does it not seem as good anymore?
No,
because it made me forget my hangover, and it was a bad hangover. So I was like, wow, I was awed by that. So if it did to me, if it did to the audience now, what that did then,
yes.
But it was Mass Effect, that's fantastic. I mean, things are always going to date,
yes.
But that could be so cool. But I would have thought it would have been Universal or Disney or something. It's weird because I'm glad you went. I thought you'd be like, oh yeah, Great America. I know it well.
Well, I know they have obviously got Disney Universal, and there's another one called Six Flags, and Six Flags is very kind of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Warner Brothers Batman and things like that. So that's really interesting. But I guess we're going to see these popping up all over the place. We had a month ago we had that there was going to be a Ubisoft land, isn't there, in Malaysia? So
there must have been a tip off that like consumers by this date will be well up for these gaming things. So they're all starting to come into sort of development now.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Your mind boggles at what you could potentially do, and I hope this is the start of a lot of really cool things to do. I mean, we've also got Nintendo, haven't we? Nintendo are going into Universal. I think we talked about that on our very first show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what greater inspiration for rides than games, man? Most of them are roller coaster rides as it is, and like if you imagine a Killzone ride, that would probably be a better ride than it is a game. There's just so much inspiration there, and that's because now games are starting to inspire movies more than the other way around, which sort of was the original inspiration for games. So there we go. So if you're around San Francisco next year, and you're a Mass Effect fan, go and have a look. And maybe let us know how it is if we haven't seen it by then, which I probably won't have done. And the next piece of news is with myself as well. And this is about a few mess-ups from Microsoft. They've made a few bungles online on their stores referring to or more recommending PlayStation rather than the Xbox brand. So the first one that was pointed out was with reference to the recently announced Instant Indie Collection, which features Stealth Inc. 2, a Game of Clones, The Swapper, and Thomas Was Alone. Mm-hmm. Quite a nice little pack. Yeah. I saw that today on the store, actually. It was $17.99 for 3 of those recent games. That's a lot cheaper than Mooncrester and Terracrester, isn't it? £8 each. Anyway, sorry.
Absolutely, but that's quite a nice bundle as well. If you haven't played any of those, I love Thomas Was Alone. If you haven't played any of those games, that's fantastic.
I never played Thomas Was Alone, and I really want to, because I feel like I missed out, because I love that sort of game. But it's just, you know what happens, you sometimes miss out on games, and that's one that I definitely missed. But the way that they described it was that the Instant Indie Collection is the perfect way to experience indie on PlayStation.
Ouch.
And that's how Microsoft were describing it. So fantastic. That's
okay.
like good work. Who
did the copy and pasting?
Yeah, I mean, is that what they do? They just share it. They got it because PlayStation got it out first, so they just copied it from there and pasted it on there. Now this didn't happen on I don't think on the English one. It affected both the German and the Dutch Xbox store. But the screenshots of the mistake on the internet, you can see it. Even though it's written in German, you can blatantly see that it says PlayStation on there. But that wasn't the end of it, as there was another blunder when it was also seen and pointed out that they described the demo for Just Dance 2016, of which the game's due out in October 2015. This was on Dutch store. And they're saying that it's got it written here in Dutch, but I can't read that. But the translation is that it's suitable for PlayStation Move and PlayStation Camera for up to 4 players. So fantastic again.
So don't play it on Xbox, play it on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's rubbish with Kinect. Go and play it on Move.
Absolutely, that's just Microsoft admitting defeat, isn't it? Go, no, don't play this on Kinect. Just use PlayStation. It's much better.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny.
That was really cool.
Funny little mess up. I imagine, I don't know how long that was up for. I don't even know. It might even still be like that. But it's quite embarrassing. The poor soul that did it, it'd be like, oh, how could I make that mistake? Probably had one or two the night before and just wasn't thinking straight.
Yes.
Maybe Xbox person stayed up last night, like playing too much PlayStation with a load of drinks, and then they just couldn't get PlayStation out of their mind the next day. Started writing it on everything. That's much better with Move. And finally, we have the Edge magazine list that they've put together of the 100 best video games of all time. Wow.
Bum, bum, bum.
I know. Edge is qualified to make this list, obviously, and it is final and exhaustive. Edge has made a list of the 100 best games of all time, in their opinion. They determined the list in this fashion. This is what they said. This is their disclaimer. In compiling the list, they worked to simple criteria. All formats, console, PC, portable, coin-op, touchscreen, were eligible, only including a single entry from any series that features straight-up sequels. Uncharted, there'd only be one Uncharted game, and that'd be the best of the bunch. And each game had to stand up today, rather than making the cut for reasons of nostalgia or historic significance. So we'll put the link to the list in the notes, and I'm going to give you the top 10. So here we go. Number 10, Minecraft. Number 9, Resident Evil 4. Number 8, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. That's a good game. Resident Evil 4. I'll finish the list.
Go on. But the thing I say about this is that, Ocarina of Time, I now, because I played it on the 3DS, I do agree with that. But I still think that is, I think it's better than Majora's Mask. But is it better than the Wind Waker? And it's a tough one. I mean, it's an interesting list. It's a really interesting list, and I'll let you continue before I say anything about it.
Yeah, there's never gonna be a good list.
No,
I'll carry on anyway.
But that's isn't it? Every list is subjective, and whenever you have a list, when IGN ever have a list or anything, you read the comments and they're hilarious. It's like, why isn't this here? Why is that there? And you're never going to have something that everybody.
It garners
agrees on.
Controversy. It's as if that's the point of a list.
Well, exactly.
It's just to garner debate, because you can't say best video games of all time. Certainly not a top 100, because everyone's like, well, what about this? You forgot that, you idiot.
Yes.
So I'll carry on anyway. Number 7, Super Mario Galaxy 2.
So does that mean that just Mario 64, is that saying that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is better than Mario 64?
I think so, because, that's part of that series, isn't it? So that's saying that's the utter best one.
What?
And remember, they're not doing it for nostalgic reasons. You see, I don't know. Right, I'll finish
carry
the
on.
list.
Number 6.
It's number 6 is Tetris. Could be number 1. Anyway, number 5 is Half-Life 2. Number 4 is Bloodborne. 3. I'm going to carry on. 3 is The Last of Us. 2 is GTA 5, and 1 is Dark Souls.
Viva Pinata. No?
That is number 0. It's even better than number 1.
That's a secret list.
So what do you think? It's hard to get through the list without sort of starting to chat about it, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I think I agree with you that sometimes I think these lists are just almost clickbait, and this is actually one of their magazines, isn't it? So this is a special edition Edge. Obviously, they're a monthly magazine available in the UK, throughout the world, obviously on iOS, Android devices, things like that. But this is a special edition where they're going through these kind of top 100 games. Like I say, as we started to have our bits where we were kind of shouting, going like, "What?" But it's hard. It's so hard to kind of put together a list without, you want all of your games in that top 10, all the ones that you love, and that's why it's just so subjective. But I was quite surprised that the Rock Band didn't appear. But again, where they did say it's not a nostalgia, and I think Rock Band
3's in there at 26.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't higher.
What can you do?
I know.
It shouldn't be in an order. They should just say 100 games, 100 of the best games, but it's not in order. Do you know what I mean? So they're not ranked, and it's just these are the 100 best games, but they're in no particular order. So Rock Band would be in there, but it's just saying this is one of the best. This is one of the 100 best.
Yes.
Rather than saying this is number 26, because at least that gets rid of the this should have been the here. Shadow of the Colossus is 36. I love that game, but I'm sort of just happy that it's in there.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what you're doing, aren't you? Whenever there's a list of 50, 10, 100 games or whatever, all you're doing is kind of going through that list, trying to validate your favourites. You want to make sure that your favourite game is in there. And I'm not seeing Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise anywhere, so this list is dead to me.
It's rubbish.
It's rubbish. What are you on, Edge? I'm going to buy it, burn it, and send it back to you.
Well, they say they've got Drive Club in at number 97, and so
they're basically saying that
that's the best racing game.
Well, no, it's not the best racing game. They're not saying because that's the best Drive Club is what they're saying, because they've got other.
But there's no other racing game in the list that I can see.
I'm just going to stop looking at this. This is annoying me. They've got Mario Kart 8.
That's not the same though, is it? It's not like that's different than Drive Club, or like you got Drive Club, say Project Gotham Racing, Forza, Gran Turismo, and they're saying that Drive Club's best. That's what I'm taking away from that.
They've actually got Super Mario. They've got Super Mario 64 is in there at 13.
Ah, interesting.
And Super Mario World, and I thought they just said what? And Wind Waker is 27. Right, that's it. I'm done.
They said they'd only include a single entry from any series, so that's sort of. To me, they're the same series.
Yeah. Stupid list. No, that's fun. Awesome. Great fun. Thank you very much for annoying me now. I'm going to start writing a letter to Edge. Dear Edge, where is Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise?
Well, feel free to have a look at the list and see if your favourite games are in there or not.
We'll stick a link in the podcast, and it will too annoy you as much as it has Darren and myself. And on that note, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening to us. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoftheLostSpark.com. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on the Twitters, where we are at Lost Spark Pod. You can also find us on YouTube. And don't forget, as we've talked about earlier, we're now on the Gamers of Lost Spark PlayStation 4 community as well. So, Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can find me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, DazzaGamer on YouTube, and at DazWhittam on Twitter.
Fantastic. I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. And don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That email address is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. And also, if you're feeling generous, you could always leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. So that's about it. I'm going to go and sit in a waiting room for Rainbow Six Siege. I'll probably still be there next week. So have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See ya.